loan deal to bring in a goalkeeper. Swindon Town's Jimmy Glass arrived at the club. His efforts in his first 2 games earned the Cumbrians 2 draws. Those vital points meant that Carlisle went into their final game of the Division 3 season, now League 2, needing to beat mid-table Plymouth Argyle in front of their own fans and hope their relegation rival Scarborough didn't win against Peterborough at home. The game at the McCain Stadium finished 1-1, and with the same scoreline at Brunton Park deep into injury time, Scarborough's fans invaded the pitch en masse, believing their Football League status was secure, convinced they'd done enough to stay up. However, there'd be one more plot twist. Carlisle won a corner in the dying seconds, and up came Jimmy Glass. In one of those you couldn't make it up moments, Glass scored from a rebounded header and was promptly swamped by teammates and thousands of fans who quite simply couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. As for Jimmy Glass, he became an overnight celebrity, but he never played for Carlisle again, and his playing career never really kicked on after that defining moment. He took on various jobs outside of football before finding his way back into the sport as player liaison officer at Eddie Howe's Bournemouth, and most recently the general manager at non-league Wimborne. Not the fairy tale ending to one of the most Hollywood moments in football, but the name Jimmy Glass will live on forever as the scorer of that goal, arguably the most important in any club's history.
Good evening and welcome to the Transfer Insiders here on talkSPORT. I'm Nick Brighton alongside talkSPORT reporter and host Angelina Kelly. Angelina, hello.
Hello.
Right, we're bringing you all the latest transfer news and views over the next couple of hours. It's been a bruising week for Newcastle, I think it's fair to say. Their greatest manager in a generation, well, he's gone. Captain Bruno Guimaraes is halfway out the door, isn't he? But is it time now to look to the future and get behind a new project? We'd love to hear from Newcastle fans as well. We'll put that question to Toon legend Warren Barton very, very soon. We'll also ask whether Chelsea have a new signing of sorts, Mykhailo Mudryk, because he couldn't play for years and now he can. Also, what the future holds for Jack Grealish, and if Tottenham's London derby victory in Sydney, of all places, over Chelsea is something to get excited about. Remember, we are live on YouTube and on your smart TV. This is the Transfer Insiders. Right, welcome one and welcome all. It's been a long time, Angelina, since I've been in the hot seat here on talkSPORT. So much so that Arsenal have won the league in that time. Which
got that in immediately.
Yeah, got early doors, shoot that straight in. Didn't win the Champions League though.
No, you didn't.
So there is that. Football didn't come home. But,
it did not.
Yeah, which I'm gutted about. But the biggest thing, I guess, lots of things change, but lots of things remain the same. In Cundy and O'Hara are still the biggest wind-up merchants on talkSPORT.
Yes, 100%. You can always be certain of that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Right, we've got some breaking news though that we're going to kick off with shortly. Right now, in fact, Chelsea have signed Danny Welbeck from Brighton. Seagulls boss Fabian Hertzler has said it's always sad to see a player and a person of Danny's stature leave, and we're all really sorry to see him go. Danny has been a pleasure to work with from the moment I arrived at the club. His professionalism, his attitude and commitment set the standard here and every day, and he has been a fantastic support for me personally. So Angelina, your thoughts on that? A player that, I guess we both have allegiances with.
Yeah, this is the one player that we can bond over and not have an argument about, I think. I mean, I also love that he is, 2 years older than Fabian Hertzler?
That's mental. That.
It always made me laugh. I'm gutted about this because Manchester United, my club, should have gone in and brought Welbs home.
Really? Would you?
Yeah.
You would have had him?
100%. I know that people are a bit confused about Chelsea maybe switching gears, but they have been crying out for more experienced players. I think that he makes sense. 14 goals last season.
Mm-hmm.
He can still do a job, even though he's 35 years of age, and for most people considered, a bit of an OAP of football. But I think he's brilliant. I know he played against Alonso when he was at Manchester United against Real Madrid, which again is quite a bizarre thing, isn't it? But he was really good in that game. Fergie played him in order to try and stop Alonso, and he did a really good job. Yeah. So they'll probably have memories of that. But yeah, Man United, Benjamin Šeško is the striker, should be number one priority. But I think to have someone like Welbeck who would have really encouraged him. I mean, Brighton have spoken about what a great professional he was for them. To have him in, helping Šeško, also helping out in the other cup competitions, because hopefully Man United won't go out to Grimsby early on and they'll have a decent run. I think he could have done a job. So yeah, Chelsea have got a really great player there, because I don't know anyone who doesn't like Danny Welbeck. He's such a great guy.
Yeah,
so.
a really nice lad. A big loss, though, I think it's fair to say, for Brighton. Yeah. Not just in the dressing room, but also the goals that he got. And you can see why this Chelsea side want a player like that, because there was talk, don't forget, before the World Cup, before Thomas Tuchel named his squad, there was talk of Danny Welbeck being included in that
He
squad.
should have gone. I'd have liked that. I mean, he probably wouldn't have played much, but I think, again, having his experience and his expertise, I think it would have been great for the England players.
Yeah. Chelsea's a really interesting one for me, because it feels like over the past few years, or maybe more, 5-10 years, they just want to sign anyone and everybody. Whereas it feels a little bit more strategic now since Alonso's come in. The age profile of the players that they've been linked with is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this change should maybe worry other clubs, because it seems like whatever Alonso has said, it's worked. Because I think before him, we wouldn't have seen these kind of signings. He's clearly come in and said something that he needs these more experienced heads, and it's going to be really, really important for them. So I'm interested to see what Chelsea are going to do this season, because another part of it was the discipline, because the red card, it was too much, too many red cards, getting players in like Welbeck, obviously linked with Jordan Henderson as well, etc. I think it's really smart. Yeah,
I can't argue with that. It's interesting, there was a Manchester United fan that you're gutted that United didn't go for him, just in terms of, as a backup number 9. Is that what you want to see then? Is that what you? I mean, look, I know a few Manchester United fans, and they're a bit unhappy with the lack of transfer activity at the moment. Would Danny Welbeck signing for Manchester United, I don't know, kind of go a way to silence that noise, or would it, not really do anything?
It's a hard one, because I think people are more frustrated with the defence. Yeah. I mean, where is Matthias de Ligt? What is going on with him? He's still injured. I think Lisandro Martinez, we're pinning all our hopes on Harry Maguire again, which, great guy, but we need more reinforcements. The full-backs, aren't the best. I've got a lot of time for Luke Shaw, but he's only 31, but with the injuries, he's about 34, really, isn't he? So let's be honest. And I think in midfield as well, everyone thought there'd be this big, shiny marquee signing. That hasn't quite happened. No disrespect to the players that they've brought in, but they are not the kind of names that people expected. But I think with Welbeck, it would have been a smart signing from fans' point of view. I mean, obviously, Man United fans, if you disagree, let me know. But I think it would have been not too heavy on Šeško in that he's directly having to compete with somebody, but that there is somebody there to be able to pick up the slack, as well as players, like Mbumo, that can play through the middle if needed. I guess Marcus Rashford is still a Manchester United player and could be featured. He can also play through the middle, having that extra asset up front. I think it would have made fans happy, and Welbeck returning.
Yeah, I also think, having Premier League experience, I know some people like to go on about that loads, but for me, I think it does make a difference. I think being able to come into a club that, a club like Manchester United, but let's be honest, there is a lot of pressure playing for a team like Manchester United, and I think Benjamin Šeško's finding that out, the hard way. And I think Danny Welbeck coming in there and being a backup guy to someone like Šeško, someone he can learn from, I think it would have been a good bit of business, but not to be. He's gone to Chelsea. Chelsea fans, what do you think about that? 03717223344. That is the number if you want to get involved with the show this evening. Also, Manchester United fans, a little bit like Angelina. If you're like, why?
You're devastated.
Yeah, why haven't we done?
Cry with me.
Yeah, that would be. It would be good to hear from you as well. Right, we can hear now how Chelsea have welcomed Welbeck on social media.
It's a privilege when you hear of the interest of Chelsea coming for you. feels with such immense pride, knowing the history of Chelsea. It correlates well with me because I'm somebody who wants to keep on pushing every single day. I've got fire in my belly, I'm ready to go. I'm going to give it everything.
Thanks, I can't wait to link back up and I'll see you soon. Yo, Welbs, cannot wait to see you. We are waiting for you. Welcome to Chelsea, my friend.
You can barely see him in that video.
It's not the best one I've seen.
Also, was there like a fly or something? What is that in this studio? Was it on that? That was very confusing.
It was messages, wasn't it? If everyone's wondering what on earth was going on, it was messages from current Chelsea players.
And he's got the fire in his belly and all that good stuff. But I don't know. I mean, as you can tell, I'm a big Welbeck fan. We could have done better for him.
I also, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I don't think every player needs a video of sorts. You can just sometimes do like a little graphic or something.
It'd suffice, wouldn't it? I think it'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a big whistles and bells video. I'm only saying that because we didn't get one for this show, actually.
No, we didn't.
Outrageous from
Do you
the
think
team.
if Arsenal do sign Vinicius Jr. though?
Oh, don't.
You're excited. A little bit. You're thinking about it. That'd be a big one, surely.
You're getting me carried away now. We're gonna
throughout this show. We'll get carried away with it.
We're gonna do a whole section on Arsenal and Vinicius Jr. and Bruno Guimaraes and all of that. But in the meantime, I need to just ground myself. Because,
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it would be a massive story. But yeah, I think it's fair to say. Right, let me ground myself.
Yep, take a minute.
Yeah, here we go.
Deep breaths.
talkSPORT understands that Arsenal are closing in on Bruno Guimaraes for a fee in excess of £75 million. I'm excited about this deal. We're going to get to the other one in a minute, but I'm excited about this deal because I think he adds the dimension to our midfield that we've been crying out for. Because if you look at what he does for Newcastle, what's interesting about Bruno Guimaraes for me, and Newcastle fans will back this up, I think, he gets goals for Newcastle. He's the man protecting the defence for Newcastle. He can break stuff up. He can do really kind of nice stuff, nice work. He can do the dirty work. His work ethic is up there. I think he will work really well with Declan Rice. I'm excited to see that partnership if this deal comes through. I just think that it's a really great bit of business, and we know that he can do it in the Premier League.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think for Arsenal, as much as people say, oh, you know, he's 28 years of age, not like Arsenal get 10 years out of him, I don't think that matters because Arsenal are in the win now phase. Going into this new season, there is so much disarray, really. So many changes with managers, players going here, there, everywhere. This is Arsenal's chance to make sure that this isn't a one and done. And I think bringing in a player like Bruno, I think that's really, really important. So taking my Man United hat off, I'm really excited for you guys. I think it's a really, really good bit of business.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's lots of talk already about can Arsenal go back to back. I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know. You know, is the answer?
You're not daring to dream.
Well, listen.
You loved that parade. You loved the parade last time. Another
amazing.
parade.
She's right. The parade was amazing. You know, but what I will say is you know, we're showing signs of intent already by going after the club captain for Newcastle, a top quality player. He'd be a great signing. For me, I think if we get him, that gives us a much better chance to go back to back. However, if we get Vinicius Jr.
When you get Vinicius Jr., let's manifest it for you when it happens.
I can't believe I'm hearing this from a Manchester United supporter.
I'm just here, listen, I love the Premier League. I want the best players in the Premier League, and I think Vinicius Jr. is one of the best players in the world. So from a Premier League fan point of view, I'd love it. Why not?
What do you think? What are your honest thoughts, though, in terms of the reality of this deal happening?
See, I know you're a little bit like you don't see it happening. Not that you don't want it to happen. You do want it to happen.
Yeah, big time.
But you're a little bit sceptical over if this is real.
Yes, definitely.
Right. I think that you need to switch gears here. I think we've got to be positive.
Come on.
I think that this should happen. Vinicius Jr. should leave Real Madrid. I know not many players go from Real Madrid in their prime to another club, but you know what? Who cares? That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Real Madrid have let him down. Alonso wasn't interested. Jose Mourinho, we have to be honest about what happened last season. Yeah. That Mourinho did seem to victim blame Vinicius Jr. He did insinuate that he perhaps brings on racist abuse himself. How are they going to work together? Maybe Mourinho will apologise, but if something like that happens again to Vinicius Jr., which unfortunately it could, is Mourinho going to have his back? If I was a player and I had experienced something like that, that would be something on my mind. And I think Arsenal, without making it about the race side of things, but I think Arsenal as a club who are known for supporting black players, uplifting black players, I think that's something that would go into his mind. And like I said, Alonso wasn't having him, so why not switch it up a little bit? I think that the opportunity to get back-to-back Premier League for Arsenal, he scores in Champions League finals, he could make the difference. People talk about him having a bit of an ego, but to be able to be the player to win Arsenal the first Champions League, that might appeal to him.
Yeah, and you've got that real kind of Brazilian core now, haven't you, at Arsenal?
Yeah.
In Big Gabby, Little Gabby, and the other Gabby.
All the Gabbies.
Yeah, and Vinny would fit into that perfectly. Great Brazilian food in London as well.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? Who doesn't want to live in London? I've lived in Madrid and I've lived in London. Both lovely. Why not give London a try, Vinicius? I think that this should definitely, I want everyone to get excited about this. We're going to manifest it for Arsenal. And yeah, I just think it'd be great. Would you get his name on the back of your shirt?
No, I only get my own name on
I know,
the back of the shirt. We've been over this.
But for this is a big moment.
Yeah, it's
Would
huge.
you change it?
Um,
Does he get number 14 as well?
Oh, well, Gyökeres has got that.
He's got to give that up.
So,
No, he's fine. He can give that up.
Unsure to answer all of your questions there. But we're looking for an Arsenal fan, actually, who has already gone big on Vinicius Jr.
You're out there.
Yeah, I'm sure someone out there may already have Vinicius Jr. on the back of an Arsenal shirt. If that is you, you can get in touch. You can call 0371722 3344, or you can text 81089. This is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT.
It's an amazing story, actually. It's almost a forgotten man. This is about Mykhailo Mudryk, who has been allowed to come back to football immediately for Chelsea. So you'll remember that this is a man who had a 4-year ban handed down to him for breaching anti-doping rules. He's not played since November 2024 after what was described as an adverse finding of meldonium, which is a banned substance in his system. He appealed against that sentence to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, who have today said that because he accepted breaking anti-doping rules, they have agreed that the time served already is enough of a punishment. So Mykhailo Mudryk is available to play for Chelsea with immediate effect.
Can he even still play football? Is he good enough? He's not played football for 3 years.
Nearly 2 years. Well, Chelsea have released quite a long statement today, obviously welcoming the decision. They've talked about what a difficult period of time it has been for Mykhailo Mudryk. And I think this is the important paragraph here in the statement. We welcome the acknowledgement that advances in the applicable scientific reporting standards for more reliable testing mean that had Misha's sample been analysed under today's technical requirements, it would not have been reported as a positive test and no anti-doping rule violation would have resulted. That is an important part of the context surrounding the agreed resolution and allows everyone involved to move forward.
Oh, what a tune this is. What a tune this is. You are listening to the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT with me, Nick Bright, and Angelina Kelly. That's Madonna.
Yes.
Madonna from the World Cup halftime show performer.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I didn't see her.
You were there.
I was there, and I was so excited for Madonna. And then I'm seeing them on the buggy, and I'm like, what is going on? So they apparently stood on the edge of the pitch at some point, but where I was stood, I couldn't see them. So to this point, I don't actually know if it was real. I wanted more Madonna, though.
So you think it might have been a fever dream for you?
Maybe.
Right.
I wanted more. I wanted to, like, in the middle of the pitch, like maybe with the Muppets and everything.
You had R9 there as well, of course, and a Ronaldinho driving her around, I believe.
Great trio, by the way.
A trio that nobody knew they needed or wanted.
Exactly. They were... Right, so from these images I can see, they were there. I just missed it. I don't know what was going on. I was just too excited.
What was it like being in the stadium for the halftime show? Because it's been kind of not received the greatest.
It was interesting. I understand why people were frustrated because it's about football and it was a very long time. Justin Bieber, I'm not the biggest believer anyway, but I think the guitar, it kind of brought the mood down a little bit. And what was upsetting for a few of my colleagues was that they could actually see the Muppets handlers. And it kind of ruined it a bit. It ruined the magic for them, you know, childhood growing up watching Miss Piggy. And that was a bit of a shame, I'll be honest. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest.
So your takeaway from the 2026 World Cup final halftime show was that you could see someone controlling Miss Piggy, and
it was very upsetting. I was very excited to see her there, but yeah, that kind of ruined it. Not enough Madonna,
right?
But then Shakira and Burna Boy.
That's good.
That song it is a good song, good World Cup.
It is a catchy song, and Shakira, I think it's her fourth World Cup song.
What is it? She's been to more World Cup finals than her ex Gerard Piqué at this point.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? You know what I mean? She's probably on retainer at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Them all.
Yeah.
The reason we're playing Madonna, by the way, is there's a theme. There is a running theme.
We love a theme.
Yeah, the 1st of August today, of course. So all the music you'll hear is from artists born in the greatest month of the year. August.
Yes.
Yeah,
love it.
Because I was born in August also.
Of course, I figured, yeah.
Yeah, right. Anyway, news broke on Thursday morning that Eddie Howe would be leaving his position with immediate effect. His exit was confirmed by Newcastle yesterday. Al-Ali manager Matthias Yisler is set to replace Eddie Howe. And we could speak now to Warren Barton, former Newcastle defender. Warren, hello.
Afternoon, guys. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I mean, the big question is how are you? And if you can sum up what's going on at Newcastle, there's so much movement.
Well, I'm devastated about Miss Piggy, first and foremost about your conversation, because that was my childhood sweetheart growing up. So that was one that was disappointing. And on a serious note, obviously, Newcastle, the area and the football club was still in mourning with Kevin Keegan, with my time in '95 when he brought me to the club. So that was devastating news that we had recently. And then with Eddie Howe, who I think is a mixture of Kevin Keegan and Sir Bobby Robson, two managers that I played under, was shocked with the news. Probably the timing. I think when you look towards the end of last season, the run of form that the players have had, maybe with the situation, what's happened in the summer where losing Gordon, to Barcelona, which was fantastic money and a great move for him. Then Tonali, who we stuck by when he was suspended for virtually a year or 10 months. He then moves, but we get fantastic money for him. And then your captain, as you spoke about, going to Arsenal, Guimaraes, was another killer blow. And then with Eddie leaving, I think he just felt, I've took the club as far as it can go in these conditions. I think if it was different, the way maybe Man City, PSG, Chelsea have spent their money, Newcastle have abided by the laws, and that's maybe cost us in the short term, but I think in the long term it will be better for the club. But he will leave with his head held high. He's a gentleman, a true class act on and off the field. He understood the football club, he understood the city. He will be loved whenever he does go back. And we've lost a fantastic manager, but as I said, in my time, Kevin Keegan left, Sir Bobby, I lost Les Ferdinand, David Ginola, Tino Espria. These players all left, and then we regrouped, refocused, and got back into the Champions League. But it is devastating news because he's such a class act, and he really give the city its heart and soul back, and got the club and the fans and everybody together, and obviously won that trophy as well. So life will go on. Players are resilient. Newcastle people are resilient. They roll their sleeves up. They stick together. But he's a good person and a good man.
Yeah, I completely agree, Warren. From the stories that I hear from people that talk about Eddie Howe, it's always positive, and he sounds like a really good person. Regarding the way that things have gone, the transfers last season, they didn't all quite take, I think it's safe to say. Obviously, this season, the players exiting, not many players coming in. Where should the ownership of Newcastle, where should the owners sit with this? Because are they to blame for some of this, for maybe not giving Eddie Howe the tools that he needs?
I don't know whether they're to blame. I think obviously the rules, like we said, they have the Premiership rules where you have to, your income, and then you can spend that type of money. And we've abided by that. Maybe they thought, and the fans, and maybe me at the beginning, think, oh, we've got millions, we're going to go and spend it. But that hasn't materialised. They've done a lot of work behind the scenes, the training ground. I know the fans don't want to hear that, but the training ground, the stadium, they're doing things in the city as well. So it's not just about the football club as well. And I spoke to Eddie way back in November about Isaac and what happened there. And you could tell he was devastated, because for 2 years we built a team around him that was scoring goals, getting in the Champions League, beating PSG at home as we did, and had a real chance of kicking on. And then you lose a figure like that. You bring in a little bit of players, strikers. Business not really an out-and-out striker. Nick, the big German, he's not a really out-and-out striker. He's not an Alan Shearer, a Les Ferdinand, that type of player. So I think that hit Eddie hard, because he loves developing players, building players. And then obviously you see that, as I said, with Gordon and players like that, which I think is fantastic money. It's brilliant money for what we've got. Certain people saying, well, is he an England international? Not. I think he's a really good player, but I think it's a lot of money for someone. With Ross Wilson, the scout of the club, and who is obviously bringing players in, they've looked to go young, whether it's like Leipzig, whether it's Monaco, developing for the future, which is fine. But I would love to have kept 2 or 3 of the senior players going through. But we can't have everything. But that's the reason where we are. I think the ownerships now will look at themselves and say, we're either going to sink or swim, because the fans have given them so much love and passion, and now they've got to stick by the fans, not necessarily the manager, because the club will always be there. The new manager, I'm quite excited about. 38 years of age, very aggressive in his tactics. He wants to win the games. He wants to go forward. Okay, he's not managed in the Premier League, and he's not managed at maybe the top 5 leagues in the world, but he's managed and he's been successful, and he's won trophies back to back. So I think he'd be a good fit with the aggression. Listen, it's big shoes to fill, because Eddie, as we said, not only is he a good person, he's a good manager. Look what he's done to Hall. Look what he's done to Dan Burns, come back as a national hero, Dan Burns playing for England. So he's really developed a lot of players. Bruno Guimaraes, not too many people knew about him at Lyon, certain people, but now he's made him a regular in the Brazilian squad. He's encouraged him. He's made him into a better player. So, Eddie did that to him. So we need to now get behind the new manager and look forward. And that's the ownership as well.
It's really interesting, the age profile of managers now. They seem to be getting younger and younger. It's probably twinned with me getting older and older as well.
How do you think I feel? I'm a granddad.
There has been some transfer business, though. Newcastle have completed a deal to sign Braga and Czech Republic keeper Lukas Hornacek for €30 million. Can we expect him to challenge for the #1 spot at Newcastle, challenge Nick Pope?
Yeah, I think when you spend that type of money, and maybe with Nick, there might be time for him to move on, because they've gone out and got a couple of goalkeepers. That seems to be an area that they wanted to bring in from day one, actually, when Eddie was there. And now with the recruitment that they're looking at, I think they are going to look at a goalkeeper. They bought an exciting player from Ajax, although he's only 18, 19 years of age. They bought some young, talented players, and time will tell. And hopefully the fans will give them time to come through, which I think they will do. I think they realise the situation. So I think, these players that they're bringing have got a great chance to start. They've got a great chance to hit the ground running. The new coach will meet them over the weekend and get to grips with them pretty soon. What I'm pleased about with the coach as well, he's very similar in the mould of Eddie, the way he wants to play. He's not a possession-orientated player. A coach wants to play out from back. He wants to hurt teams. He wants to penetrate earlier. He wants to get in behind teams. He wants to put teams under pressure. So it's in that similar mould of what Eddie was doing with his team for the last 4.5 years.
All right, Warren, we will leave it there. Thank you very much for your time, my friend. Warren Barton, former Newcastle defender, giving his thoughts on what's been going on at St James's Park. I'll be honest, Angelina, I'd be worried if I was a Newcastle fan at the minute. There's a lot of churn, and it feels like it's top players leaving and the manager. You know, I'd be looking at that scared.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot up against them, and I think you look at the teams that finished below them in the league last season, majority of them you have seen levelling up, like Forest, for example, even Leeds United getting James Trafford in, etc. So I'm not one to say they're definitely going to go down, but they could have a bit of a battle on their hands.
Yeah. Right, you are listening to the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT with me, Nick Bright, and Angelina Kelly. Coming up, the latest transfer news coming out of Chelsea, and we'll ask whether there's an asterisk next to their name under Roman. Stay there.
Liverpool are set to place an opening bid for Bradley Barcola, but what PSG want and what Liverpool are willing to offer at the moment seems quite far away.
Yeah, there's a goal for valuation, but that's normal. PSG's starting position is £145 million. And my information is that in terms of the fixed fee, Liverpool are looking at roughly 80 million, maybe some add-ons on top. But that's the starting point. And knowing this is going to be a difficult negotiation because of PSG's starting position and the fact that they haven't signed Yan Diomande, Liverpool might need to be patient. And my expectation is it might run a similar course to Alexander Isak. And by that, I don't mean the player will agitate and go on strike. But what I do mean is with Alexander Isak, Liverpool placed what they thought was a fair offer early. When it was rejected, they waited until right towards the end of the window and the deal got done in the final hours. And you may note that Newcastle went from not for sale to 125 million, and somewhere in the middle, they were asking for 150 million about 3 weeks before the deal got done. So PSG's starting position, 145, very normal in deals for that to come down by 20 to 25 million. If Liverpool are prepared to go up by 10 or 15 million, suddenly the parties are not that far apart. So the first bid likely testing the water, and then we'll understand whether PSG are grandstanding or they genuinely believe that they can get over £20 million more than the deal that saw Morgan Rogers leave Aston Villa for Chelsea at 117 million. Yeah, welcome back to the Transfer Insiders then with me, Nick Bright, and Angelina Kelly. Right, just before we talk about Chelsea, actually, Angelina, I wanted to ask you, you've worked with Big Al.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting times. He's back on Wednesday, of course. Loads of the listeners really excited, and good to see Al in good health as well. But what is it like working with such a whirlwind of a man?
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. I will just miss Al. I'm gutted. I'll be doing early sports breakfast Monday and Tuesday, so I'll just miss him. But really excited to see him back. He's just such a good laugh. Like and it provides such comedic relief sometimes when it's not even necessarily intended to be comedic relief. But it's honestly, he's such good fun. Always been so warm and welcoming when I've been on the show. We always have a good chat about Man United. So yeah, buzzing.
Yeah. Stop whinging, get on with it.
You just never know what he's going to say next.
You know what? And that's why we love him, isn't it? You just never know what's around the corner.
Well, he's back on Wednesday on Breakfast, so make sure you tune in for that. It is going to be blockbuster. Right, dramatic 24 hours then at Chelsea. Transfer-wise, we brought you the news right at the top of the show that they've signed Danny Welbeck from Brighton, a deal which Angelina is looking at a little bit jealous as a Manchester United fan. And Trevor Chalobah looks set to leave for Cesc Fabregas's Como, who came fourth in Serie A last season and compete in this season's Champions League. I mean, what a rise for Como under Cesc Fabregas there. Como believe an agreement is in place for a €30 million deal. Just thoughts on that Trevor Chalobah deal? It seems to be stop-start for him at Chelsea. I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, I think it's time to move on. I mean, he's 27 years of age, so
really?
this is So I for some reason thought he's still like 24 or something. Yeah, wow. But you know, he needs to take this chance and I think make something of it. You've obviously got Colwell back fit, Lacroix signed, so this does make sense. And I think from an England point of view, as much as nobody's expecting him to be starting games for England, he obviously did go to the World Cup. He was a late call-up. He's still kind of, I guess, an England fringe player. So with your England hat on, this is a good move for him to go, get game time under someone like Fabregas, who, like I say, I think he's doing a great job. You've got Champions League football, etc. So, yeah, I really hope this works for him.
Yeah. I mean, it is a really good move for him, in my opinion, as well. I agree with everything you just said. And the allure of Champions League football. You're leaving a club that doesn't have Champions League football this season to go to one that does. So that's very interesting.
Winner.
Yeah. Right, Chelsea, though, I guess the bigger news is that yesterday they were fined £10 million and given a suspended ban from registering new players for 2 transfer windows for breaching rules relating to payments to agents between 2009 and 2022. I mean, this is a right old mess, isn't it? A clip's been going viral of our very own Simon Jordan criticising Chelsea fans who pine for the Roman Abramovich era. This was Simon speaking after Abramovich's name was sung at Stamford Bridge back in March.
Roman Abramovich has just ultimately, in the last 24 hours, shown the football club to have cheated their way into winning tournaments and ultimately brought the club into disrepute by the nature of the fact that they broke the system. An owner whose motivations for owning the football club were his own and spent lots of money to buy you a football club, to manufacture it into a better football club, and cheated whilst doing it. He navigated the system. He created an outcome that's now been seeded in bringing the club and its achievements into disrepute. If you want to talk about asterisks, which I don't like, you now have to asterisk Chelsea because it's been proven beyond doubt that Chelsea cheated to achieve outcomes. You're not an elite football club. What you were elite cheats.
Strong words, as always, from Mr. Simon Jordan there. But is he right, Angelina? Does that era have to have an asterisk next to it?
Yeah, I think it does. And I'm a little bit disappointed with the outcome, to be completely honest. I mean, Chelsea reportedly have admitted to making at least 36 secret payments of, 47.5 million. And the whole idea of there not being any sporting advantage, because the appeal board found that there was insufficient evidence to show any sporting advantage had actually been achieved. I don't know about you, but I think that's absolutely ridiculous, because those players that you brought in, one of the players coming up is Eden Hazard, obviously an absolute legend of the game. Mm-hmm. Whether you think there was a sporting advantage or not, him departing and the amount of money that they got, which will have then paved the way for them to bring other players in, it's a domino effect. Yeah. And I think it's really stresses me out, the idea that they're actually sat there saying that there was no sporting advantage. The fact that Todd Bowley and co have come in and admitted this, yes, that's the right thing to do. It didn't happen under them. To enter the guilty plea early, etc., to get this fine essentially reducted a few times. You can understand why they've done that, but I think if you're Everton, if you're Nottingham Forest, looking at this and the outcome of this, it must be very, very frustrating, and that Chelsea won't actually pay the fine either. It's going to be coming out of a sum of money that was held back after the Abramovich deal. So Todd Bowley and Chelsea, they're not even paying this.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like similarly to you. I can't understand. There's probably reasons to it that are way above my pay grade in terms of my understanding of the law and the rules and regulations. But I can't understand how saying they haven't gained a sporting advantage out of it. I mean, to me, of course they have. You know, you're so right. The domino effect is one thing, but also, you know, they've signed top quality players because of it. That gives you a sporting advantage, no?
Yeah, and the whole thing of self-reporting, etc. Like, I get that they've clearly made things a bit easier on them because the board have taken that on board. But yeah, I fail to see, you are surely going to have a sporting advantage if you are willing to make certain payments to get a player into your club. You know, I've been reading up on some of these stories. Reportedly, Manchester United did want Eden Hazard, but they weren't prepared to make an off-the-books payment to his representative. You know, whereas Chelsea have kind of played a little bit dirty in that sense and kind of rolled around in the mud and done that. How can you say that that's not giving them an advantage? They have Eden Hazard and another club doesn't. So it baffles me.
Yeah, I mean, you've been able to sign players that, you know, another club wanted because you were prepared to spend more money, albeit in a bit of a grubby manner. But because of that, you've got the player. So therefore, in my opinion, and I guess it's just my opinion, whether it matters or not, but it is a sporting advantage. What are your thoughts, Angelina, on the stripping of titles, the stripping of medals?
Do it. Do it. Take the medals off them. Take them all. I know that Noel Gallagher spoke on talkSPORT. Obviously, Manchester City's situation is still ongoing and it's a very, very separate thing. But I know that Noel Gallagher spoke and said, well, for the fans, we've already experienced it, so it doesn't matter kind of thing. I'm not in the business of hurting the fans. They should still have their memories, still have their experiences. And I understand it's not directly the player's fault, but I don't think that they should be able to keep the medals. I think that you've got to be harsh with this one. You've got to show people that you mean business. If you're going to do this, the club's going to get hurt. The players are going to have medals taken off them. Maybe for players, it will make them and their representatives do more due diligence or not get themselves into situations like this. I am dramatic. I like the idea of hiring some kind of bounty hunter, a bailiff, to travel the world and find these players and like bang on the door, give me your medals, take them back. Yeah, I think, listen, we've got to be strict on this. We can't have it continually happening. So take the medals.
So what you're saying is the team that finished second, should win the Premier. Because
that's hard. You're right. I do understand what you mean with that. That does start to get a little bit messy. Maybe it's just nobody wins.
Really?
Football wins.
There
we go.
Yeah.
Football wins.
Producer Sim was like, that means Tottenham get a title.
He's buzzing. He's running around the studio. He's absolutely. This is Christmas come early for him.
Yeah, we should definitely not to do that then, my opinion. Right, another Chelsea story then. Mykhailo Mudryk can return to playing immediately after resolving his doping case with the FA, having not played a competitive match since November 2024. I mean, that is a long time, isn't it? He was given a maximum 4-year ban by the FA, but appealed against the decision to the Court of Arbitration for Sport following an adverse finding for banned substance meldonium. The FA said anti-doping disciplinary proceedings have now been resolved with Mudryk after he accepted breaking anti-doping rules and agreed to a suspension equal to the time already served. Are you following here still? There's a lot of words, isn't there? They had that due to the changes made since the World Anti-Doping Agency technical document regarding meldonium, Mudryk's test would not have been reported and no adverse finding would have been recorded. Woof! Can we see him, Angelina, being reintegrated into Chelsea after all that has gone on? Because there's a lot that's happened here.
There's a lot. Meldonium, it kind of sounds like something in Harry Potter or something, like a spell or something.
I thought the furniture was going to start floating in here.
You said it enough times, yeah? You know what? It's a tough one. I don't know about the substance and if that could have a long-term effect, maybe in a positive way for him, as in like it might positively affect him. That worries me a little bit. I don't know the answer to that, providing it's not going to still be helping him out, essentially. I think that people do deserve second chances in these situations. He has served a ban, which they deem has been long enough. He's still contracted. He's still a Chelsea player. My main question is it going to work? Because he wasn't really that good for Chelsea before this happened. And I know that he's been doing his own training. He did a training camp in Austria. He was paying and for goalkeepers to come and work with him, etc. But is that going to be enough for him to be at Chelsea, to be competing at the highest level? My concern more is if he's actually going to be good enough. And then what are they going to do with him if they've got him till 2031?
Yeah, this is. I think Chelsea have moved on. Is my thought on it. I think when that happened in November 2024, Chelsea have had to work around it. They've had to sign players. They've had to, think to themselves, we don't have this guy for 4 years, so he's not part of the plan. And I just can't imagine, because he didn't, he wasn't really a mainstay in the starting 11 anyway, was he? As you were just saying, I just can't imagine him getting back into the squad quickly. But listen, we will continue to talk Mudryk next and bring our Ukrainian football expert in for a little bit more of that. You are listening to the Transfer Insiders right here on talkSPORT.
Noticed that on social media, Curtis Jones liked the posts where Inter Milan announced Stones as a player.
He's acting like a spoiled brat. I saw his behaviour last night on the pitch.
This was after the friendly.
Yeah, I understand the frustration that you should have got the armband. He's been, he's a scouser. He's been there 20 years. Blah 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 blah. But to act like that and for it to carry on, because it went on for about 2 minutes.
Was it him and Dominic Szoboszlai?
Yeah, he was having a go at Szoboszlai, who handed the armband over, I think, to Tsimikas. Mm-hmm. And I believe Curtis Jones had the temper tantrum over that. It's just like that behaviour can't happen. Not from a graduate from the academy. He's too into himself. So if he wants to go,
source of his frustration not so much the captain's armband in a pre-season friendly, it's the fact he wants to leave, is it?
Yeah, okay, so he wants to leave. Well, okay, now Liverpool have to get the best deal for the football club. That's how it works. Okay, you don't get to throw your toys out of the pram and do it slowly, knowing him, and then act like that. I just don't understand it. You're playing for one of the biggest football clubs in the world. You came through the system. Behave. Stop. That's all eyes are on you. That's not behind closed doors. That might go on in training and all those things, but you don't want to see that going on actually for millions of people to watch.
And it's not great for Andoni Iraola, fresh in the manager's.
No, and I'm sure he'll move past that. And I think Szoboszlai was asked in the press conference, and he didn't even talk about it. But it's just you hate seeing stuff like that. I really do. I think it's so petulant. Do you know what I mean? So, and then when you're liking Inter Milan's post, okay, we get it. You want to go to Inter Milan. Probably last 5 minutes out there.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself,
you ready, everyone?
What a wonderful world.
Hey, what a tune.
That was good, that.
Oh. Louis Armstrong, of course, Wonderful World, also born in August. If you've just tuned into the Transfer Insiders here on talkSPORT, that is what we're doing today, the 1st of August. So all the tunes that you hear out of the breaks will be people born in August.
When's your birthday in August?
It is August the 20th, so I'll expect a lovely, massive gift from you and everybody here at talkSPORT.
I am on it. I'll do a bit of a whip round.
Yeah, that'd be great. Right, it is the penultimate day of the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, so let's get an update with talkSPORT's John Cushing.
Yeah, 2 silvers for England so far in the women's boxing in the final session of the games this evening. Chantel Reid losing to the Indian Chowdhury, who beat Rosie Eccles of Wales yesterday. 19-year-old Ruby White also lost her flyweight final, so a silver for Reid and White. Earlier, 3 golds, though, in the boxing for England. Isaac Oko, the former sparring partner of AJ, is the Commonwealth Games heavyweight champion. His dad used to be Commonwealth champion. Now, Prince William and Kate, Prince and Princess of Wales, of course, saw Wales win a gold and silver in the women's point race at the Velodrome this afternoon. Anna Morris and Jess Roberts taking the top 2 spots on the podium. James Ball and Matt Rotherham won silver in the men's tandem sprint for Wales as well. Neil Facky of Scotland winning gold. England will have to play Australia again for a bronze medal in the netball. They got thrashed by them earlier on in the tournament. It follows one of the biggest shocks at these games, with the Aussies, the world and defending netball champions, losing to Jamaica in the last 4. Jamaica, having won silver 4 years ago and bronze in 2018 and 2014, now face New Zealand for a gold tomorrow afternoon on the final day. And it's the big ticket tonight, the golden ticket tonight maybe. Could it be Scotland's? For the first time since 1966, the Commonwealth Mile returns for the final this evening at 8:45. Josh Kerr, the world record holder, Scottish teammate Jake Whiteman, former world champion, Australians Cam Myers, and last Commonwealth Games 1500 metre champion Oliver Hoare from Australia are the ones to watch. It's going to be huge this evening. It is the Commonwealth Games, and it's live on talkSPORT 2 from 7.
Nice one, John. Thank you very much. Yeah, and as John was just saying, over on talkSPORT 2, Natalie Sawyer and Greg Rutherford host Commonwealth Games live from 7 p.m, bringing you live commentary of all the evening's best events, including a host of finals in athletics, para-athletics and boxing. Right, we were talking about Mikhailo Mudryk just before we went into the break, and let's get another opinion on this now. Let's speak to Andrew Todos, who's a Ukrainian football journalist. Andrew, good evening.
Good evening, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you with us. Right, how much of a boost is this then? Because we've mainly been talking from a Chelsea perspective, I guess, but how much of a boost is this for Ukrainian football?
Well, I think it took everyone off guard in Ukraine as well last night, and I think everyone is predominantly happy with it because Ukraine have been lacking a lot of pace and skill in their squad over the past 2 years since he's been banned. Kind of player that can make something out of nothing. So now Andrea Maldera, the ex-assistant manager of Roberto De Zerbi at Brighton and Marseille, who is the new Ukraine manager, has got himself more or less a brand new player. Just like Xabi Alonso has said today about, essentially it's kind of like a new transfer. But we'll see where Mudryk ends up before the first international break, I guess.
And Andrew, when you think about this, whether people believe that it's right or wrong, that he has served his time, that he should have had a longer ban, whatever people's opinions, it can't be easy for the player. He's obviously not been able to train with Chelsea on Chelsea turf. How has he personally been dealing with this ordeal, do we know?
Well, I think it has been a tough 2 years for him. He's had a few issues that have been away from football as well. A couple driving bans and some other things online and similar just problems that I think probably didn't help the fact that obviously he was banned and not being able to do anything or get his mind off things. But over the past year or so, he's got himself a new girlfriend, American influencer Jordan Jones, who's very popular, and she seems to have, I don't know, potentially, hopefully helped him out with the past year and maybe stabilized his life a bit. And they seem to be doing really well, posting a lot on Instagram, going on holidays and things. And I think that she's actually helped him get through this past year in particular. And then from a footballing perspective, he's been training more or less every day or at different locations. He trained at non-league club Uxbridge FC. He's been training in, I think, Spain or Austria over this pre-season before he heads over to join Chelsea. He's been working with a few sort of personal football trainers and that kind of thing. And literally 2 weeks ago, he posted on Instagram a post of him scoring a goal at one of those training sessions saying, "Stay tuned." And I guess he was right because now he's back.
Realistically, though, Andrew, when it comes to the training, because I was thinking about this, how fit match fit, I guess, Premier League level fit. Is he really going to be training on his own? Because surely there's levels to this. Somebody can train on their own to a certain standard, but that's nowhere near where you need to be to start for a team like Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're going to have to see how he does over the next 2-3 weeks before the actual Premier League starts. How often is he going to get in those remaining friendlies that Chelsea have? And if he isn't going to be featuring as much as I guess he would probably hope or expect, which I'm not sure what that is at the moment, then maybe a loan would be logical. And lots of people have been talking on social media about Strasbourg because obviously the Chelsea sister club thing, or maybe farther climbs. I really don't know where at the moment, but it's going to be interesting because when Xabi Alonso joined Bayer Leverkusen in October 2022, that's previous summer, a few months before Bayer Leverkusen really wanted to buy Mykhailo Mudryk. So he didn't get him then, and he wasn't his manager then. Potentially now he might be able to do something. And it seems under Xabi Alonso, there might be a bit more stability and everything. And as a result of that, Mudryk might actually benefit from that rather than a manager who's sort of fully focused on results and not embedding sort of a new style and all that kind of thing. That has been the case in those first 2 years after Mudryk initially joined before his ban. And it's going to be, I think, really, really intriguing the next couple of weeks to see how obviously his teammates receive him again. I've seen a lot of them on social media being very happy, and also how the coaching staff do as well.
Interesting. Right, Andrew, thank you very much for your time, my friend. That's Andrew Todos, a Ukrainian football journalist. It's an interesting one with Mykhailo Mudryk, Angelina. I could see maybe another Premier League club who aren't necessarily at the stature of Chelsea coming in for him. There could be opportunities for him.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see. I'd love to know what advice maybe his agent's giving him, because in this sense, is it you stay at Chelsea, you prove your worth under Alonso and really kind of take control of your narrative here? Or is it a sense of, you know what, this Chelsea thing is done, let's move on? And like you say, maybe a club a little bit further down the table. But I think it's going to be really key that if he does feature for Chelsea at any point moving forward now, he's got to hit the ground running. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, agree. Right, you are listening to the Transfer Insiders here on talkSPORT with Nick Bright and Angelina Kelly. And coming up, we've got news of an outgoing transfer from Arsenal to Everton.
I mean, I wake up every morning now feeling so lucky that Unai Emery's still there.
Yeah.
Because people laugh about these FSR, whatever they're called, financial fair play rules. They're a joke. Look at Aston Villa, right? Finish in the top 4, win the Europa League, and then your best player, Morgan Rogers, leaves. Why can't Aston Villa keep hold of their best players and then say, we're going to get to spend 150 mil like Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then why can't we go and challenge for the title? These rules, they're there to keep the so-called top 6 there.
Yeah.
And this season coming, the so-called top 6, they call it, will finish in the top 6. I'm sure of it.
Gab,
Aston Villa, with what they're able to bring in, aren't going to be able to challenge.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you.
This time last year, that Unai Emery, this time next year, we'll be lucky to have Unai Emery as the manager, because it's great on every manager.
Gab, I've had a conversation with you before, and I've said that if a big club like Manchester United comes in for your manager or players, they'll leave. And you're like, no, that would never happen. How's Yuri Tillemans working out for you?
Yeah, but that's a release clause, isn't it? That's a stupid release clause of 35 million.
Could have stayed.
No, I agree. I don't blame him. He's 29. He's won. He scored a great goal in the final Europa League. Manchester United are a bigger club than Aston Villa. I understand why players would leave Aston Villa. But what I'm saying, Andy, is how, if it's Everton in a few years, if it's Sunderland, whoever it is that wants to try and break into that top 4 and try and do amazing things as a football club, you're restricted.
Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. Just hearing these names makes you think money and the hundreds of millions of dollars, pounds or Saudi riyals in boxing. But that's at the top. At the bottom, it isn't quite the same. Even for those on the rise, there's not an awful lot of cash in the boxing world. And if you're just starting out, well, it can be a very costly exercise indeed. But don't take my word for it. Here's the former European champion, talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver.
You're turning professional and you're boxing, let's say, York Hall on a non-televised fight. You have to sell tickets to earn any money, but you have to cover the wages of your opponent as well. So if you don't have the ability to be able to sell enough tickets, you effectively have to pay to fight.
A far cry then from Jake Paul facing Mike Tyson in 2024, when the purse was reported to be around £48 million. But the vast amounts of cash lining the top dog's pockets isn't the norm in a typical fight.
Let's say you're lucky and you get between 5 and 10 grand. You're going to get 10 grand max for that. 10% goes to the trainer, 25% goes to the manager. Then we've got the tax man to pay as well. So we're cutting that money in at least half. So now you've got 5 grand for a 10-week camp. So you're talking about a guy here earning, he might be clearing 500 quid a week. How do you support a family on that? So boxers chase the dream. And, you know, there's probably 2% of them that actually make it.
So say you do make it and you start to rise up the ranks. Strikers Boxing, a training academy, says the mid-tier fighters can earn more, somewhere between £10,000 and £50,000 a fight, depending on record, profile, opponent and popularity of weight class. It's only at the top level does the real cash start flowing in, with the top-tier professionals, i.e. those going for titles, earning 6 figures a fight. Something else you'll have heard of is the terms prize fighter or journeyman. A prize fighter is, as it sounds, someone who picks up fights where they can and gets a nice big check if they win. Journeymen are the fighters who take on up-and-comers, effectively used for experience in the ring. Even if they're going up against the real prospects, a young Anthony Joshua, for example, these guys will be lucky to earn more than 10 grand. So the average boxer isn't as rich as you'd think.
Yeah, this is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. I am Nick Bright alongside reporter, host, and massive Man United fan, Angelina Kelly. Coming up this hour then, we'll be discussing whether this can finally be the season that Manchester United knock City off their perch after 13 consecutive campaigns finishing below their rivals. Sorry, Angelina. We'll also talk Liverpool, asking whether Liverpool fans would be sad to see Curtis Jones leave, and if you take Trent Alexander-Arnold back at Anfield. Controversial, I know. And later you'll hear from Roberto De Zerbi, who sounds desperate to keep hold of Richarlison. This is the Transfer Insiders here on talkSPORT. Right, just before we bring in a man who truly never sleeps here at talkSPORT, I just wanted to read this message out from Michael. It's short but sweet, but it's regarding Mykhailo Mudryk, who says, Michael says, Mudryk to West Ham on loan would seem perfect. I mean, I don't know whether he would want to drop down to the Championship right now, but, you know, you never know.
You never know. Sometimes if Alonso's saying, he might be saying behind closed doors, not really having you, mate. You've got to take your chances where you can get them.
Yeah, wouldn't have to move house if he's still got one here. Anyway, who knows? Right, let's bring in talkSPORT reporter and transfer guru Ben Jacobs, the man that never sleeps. Ben, hello.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, more importantly? Because, you know, there's been so much going on, having to cover the transfers and all of that. But on top of that, you're having to keep an eye on what's going on at FIFA and Gianni Infantino versus the world. Just bring us up on the latest with that.
Yeah, and you've made my life harder because I'm going to have to come off this broadcast and find out if Mudrik's going to West Ham and give you an answer on that one now as well. But this FIFA story is crazy. I mean, we thought the pinnacle was when, as we revealed exclusively on talkSPORT, the US President Donald Trump called Gianni Infantino and asked him to review the red card of Flo Balogun that subsequently got suspended. Now it's turned out that a Super League-style secret project was driven by Infantino to create this subsidiary body called FIFA Forward Enterprise. And FIFA are now in a very chaotic position because not only has the project been shelved, and that was confirmed by the FIFA president at midnight this morning, but there's chaos amongst the leadership team. We saw yesterday Carlos Cordero, senior advisor to Infantino, quit. In addition to that, I can reveal that Alexander Shefrin is driving a movement from all of UEFA, including, of course, our home nation's FAs, to revoke their written support. The ones that have given it, an English FA, are definitely in that category. So right now, Infantino is standing alone in March. However, there is a deadline of the 18th of November in which either Infantino can back away or other candidates can rival him head to head. And even though Infantino claims to have 200 plus of FIFA's 211 members having written to him in support, if UEFA remove 55 and CONCACAF would likely do the same, suddenly Infantino is in an untenable position. So my information is that Infantino's role as FIFA president is not currently secure, whether through resignation or whether through rival. And as we heard in the news and we revealed about a week ago on talkSPORT, Victor Montagliani, the CONCACAF president, a Canadian with Italian heritage as well, is viewed currently as the most serious contender. And this is why a lot of people think that CONCACAF followed suit with UEFA, because by backing them, if a UEFA candidate to rival Gianni Infantino doesn't materialise, then suddenly Montagliani might have the CONCACAF vote and the UEFA vote, and in theory, that's 96 and only 10 away from a majority.
Just before we move on to transfers, I know Angelina wants to ask you about that. Just to follow up on that, for many people, a little bit like myself, I'm not going to pretend I know the ins and outs of how the voting system works at FIFA, but even before this latest bombshell, it feels like, from a fan's perspective, when you speak to fans or on social media and stuff like that, there's kind of not much support for Gianni Infantino. No, people don't have kind words to say about him. Why is it that he had such support, I guess, from the federations? Why was nobody challenging him before now?
Because when he was elected, the platform was entirely different. It was transparent. It was post-Sepp Blatter. It was to clean up football. And his little mantra was FIFA 2.0. And now you could argue it's FIFA 3.0 that's necessary. In addition, Infantino has always been able to deliver on finances. And in a situation where it's one member, one vote, to a lot of federations that are smaller in terms of size or infrastructure or funding, they value that money and that equality. And Infantino's been able to align and make sure that the strongholds in particular Africa and Asia that protect him from a rival block vote and block support him. And it's only now that the cracks have emerged. And the reason why things have changed is because FIFA Forward Enterprise is the straw that's broken the camel's back. But remember, this is over a year. So on the 30th of April, Infantino thought he was announcing his re-election would be unopposed and it'd be plain sailing. On the same day, he tried to orchestrate a handshake between the Palestinian Football Association and the Israeli one, and it backfired because it didn't happen and led to a very awkward moment on stage. Then flash forwards to the World Cup draw, the Peace Prize to Donald Trump, Iran relocating to Mexico for their training base, Michel Platini filing alleged documents showing a criminal complaint against Infantino and FIFA for a smear campaign stopping him being FIFA president, Omar Artan, one of the most respected officials in Africa, being denied entry to officiate, Fair Square making a complaint to FIFA's ethics committee that Infantino had breached political neutrality. And that all then takes us forwards to Donald Trump And that phone call that we broke on talkSPORT asking the FIFA president to review the red card of Flo Balogun that subsequently got suspended. Add all of that up, plus this latest massive seismic scandal that has European Super League vibes, and you can understand now why even Infantino's closest allies are starting to turn against him.
Mucky business.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when it comes to his allies, you touched on President Donald Trump. We know that CONCACAF, which is North, Central America and the Caribbean, has rejected the proposal. Obviously, the proposal's off the table, but they did reject it, with sources saying that, you know, some of the major majority associations in the region are losing faith in Infantino, perhaps. Has Donald spoken out? Do we know if he's given Gianni a quick ring of support or anything like that, or has he fell silent?
Well, I don't think President Trump can help President Infantino in this context, because it's an internal matter for FIFA, and Trump throwing his support behind Infantino publicly probably will make things worse, as it did with the Flo Balogun saga, because Infantino could have pointed towards the FIFA Ethics Committee, and the day before the game, maybe it would have blown over and become an internal matter. But Trump, with a smile on his face, basically admitted he made the call. Marco Rubio followed it up by saying, thank you, Mr. US President, for overturning that, quote, ridiculous red card. And suddenly it was clear that Gianni Infantino has a questionable relationship with both politics and specifically Trump. So if he came out and supported Infantino publicly, it might make things worse. I'm not aware of a private call. Trump was asked about the specific plans and whether he supported them, and also the role of the financier Joshua Kuchner, who obviously has ties back to Trump, even though, let's not forget, he is a Democrat. And amazingly for Trump, who's never been short of words, he gave a one-word answer when he was asked whether he wished to comment on this scandal, and it was simply no.
Oof. He's Homer Simpsoned into the bushes.
Sometimes less is more, as they say. As an Arsenal man, though, Ben, it has been hurting me to see Arsene Wenger in the background, often sitting behind Gianni Infantino at World Cup games, and he's actually caught some flack because of this, hasn't he? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it is, but he's not the only one. Several people have enabled Gianni Infantino, and it's taken a lot of courage, particularly, I think, from those that have spoken out individually, and obviously Carlos Cordero quitting. The FIFA COO made a statement yesterday as well, saying that he felt deceived, and staff reflected those views, and that he didn't care if that cost him his job. So it takes something to challenge Infantino, because previously Infantino was FIFA and FIFA was Infantino, and there was such a blurred line between what the president put on his social platforms, what was an Infantino-driven statement versus what represented the game. And now suddenly, with this divide, you've got a fragmentation where Infantino is being thrown under the bus, Infantino is being billed as a rogue individual, and those trying to kind of save themselves are hiding behind the organisation and saying, even as senior FIFA leaders, we didn't know anything about it. But until Infantino's gone, it can be quite a dangerous tactic, and an extremely commendable and brave one, by the way, as well. And for Wenger, I suppose he feels his role is technical. His role is around developing the ins and outs of the game, not talking about the issues off it. My feeling is, if Wenger spoke out, it would arguably carry more weight than even somebody like Alexander Sheffirin or these confederations, so it would be welcomed. But he will have reservations because it's sensitive, and speaking now is in the middle of still waiting to hear what Gianni Infantino is going to do. If Infantino goes, it wouldn't then surprise me if Wenger does speak up. Some would call that a more spineless approach, but again, Wenger would argue, and in fairness we should reflect this, that his job is very much a football-focused one, not a politically motivated one.
All right, well, we couldn't have you on without talking transfers, could we, Angelina? Significant deals today, it seems, for Everton, Christian Norgard. What do we know about that?
Yeah, whizzing through the done deals of today. Danny Welbeck, as we heard in the news, 2-year contract. Chelsea adapting their model. Christian Norgard, as you say, also going to be leaving Arsenal and moving to Everton. And that deal is agreed in principle. He's got permission to undergo a medical for in and around £7 million. And then all attention turns to Arsenal incomings. Bruno Guimaraes, a deal is really close. Arsenal and Newcastle are finalising a verbal agreement. It could come at any point, but at the time we're live, my information is payment terms and add-ons are still under discussion, but conversations, as they have been for about a week, are advanced. Newcastle continue to say, until we get the formal bid, there's nothing to get excited about or there's no decision to be made. But ultimately, Arsenal work like this with Christos Zolis as well. They got a verbal agreement with Bruges. There can be a technicality as to what constitutes that and who's involved, especially if third parties, super agents and intermediaries are part of those talks. But Arsenal basically want to get it all agreed, so when they place the formal bid, they know it's already been accepted. And when that happens, Bruno Guimaraes may leave Brazil and undergo his medical in the coming hours or days. But if we get to Sunday and there's no done deal, then Guimaraes is not going to do what Alexander Isak did. He's quite prepared to fly to La Manga, where Newcastle are training, and his first scheduled training session is on Monday, and he will turn up to that session if we don't get a done deal, and now the parties are racing against time to see whether they can.
Is there a worse selling club than Arsenal? Just throwing it out there. £7 million for Norgard. I know he didn't feature much, but and Arsenal's record sale is Oxlade-Chamberlain to Liverpool, isn't it? In 30 odd million quid or whatever it was. I mean, I feel like it's terrible at selling. Ben, thank you very much. We'll leave it there, my friend. Ben Jacobs, of course, our transfer guru here at talkSPORT, the man with his finger on the pulse at all times. And I'm almost certain, as I said in the intro, that he doesn't sleep. I'm almost certain of it. Right, coming up, does Angelina, here's one for you, Angelina, get ready. Get ready to kind of pitch this.
Okay.
Do you see Pep Guardiola leaving Manchester City as an opportunity for your beloved Manchester United? Save it. We will get into it. It is all on the way right here on talkSPORT on Transfer Insiders.
Up and said you got 10 players better than John Stones.
But I said all time. I didn't say Prem, but let's stick to Prem. All right, let's do this.
Go on.
Virgil van Dijk, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Vincent Kompany.
Yeah, that's five.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we going Tony Adams?
Oh yeah. No,
you're not gonna say.
No, but go on.
I would.
Campbell.
I'd do Sol Campbell, defo.
And I'm a Tottenham
Sol
fan.
Campbell, come on, Jamie.
Keep going.
I'm going Sol Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh. Gary Pallister.
Carvalho.
Mate, come on.
Carvalho.
Don't help him. Why are you helping him? Carvalho's not better than John Stones.
Carvalho. Ricardo Carvalho.
Jamie, hear me out.
Give me a break, man.
On his day, prime to prime, one game for a final, Ledley King.
Yeah, Ledley King. What, you telling me Ledley King? Oh, come, Jamie.
Listen, Jamie, not for career, but for one game in his prime.
I watched John Stones playing the Champions League final.
I know he was
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
He was unbelievable. So let's.
I hear it, but
like,
you know
come
what
on.
I think, yeah? I heard.
Can't be putting Ledley King above John Stones. He's won 6 Premier League titles.
Phil Jagielka, mate. Phil Jagielka.
Coley, shut up, mate. Come on.
I mean, mate, Jamie.
Julian Lescott.
I would go as far as to say if Jan Vertonghen and Alderweireld played in that City team, they might have won the same honours.
Gary Cahill.
They would have won the same honours.
He's on Gary Cahill's level.
You're making a lot of noise, Cole.
heart's a thumping and you, my brown-eyed girl.
Oh, the tunes are just rolling in. It was written about you, Angelina, this one?
Obviously.
Right.
Come on now.
Van Morrison and Brown Eyed Girl. Another artist born in August to celebrate the best month of the year. Keep these great tunes coming in there. You guys are surprising me. Might get your DJing at my birthday. On the 20th.
Which is the what, the 20th? 20th of August. Just so we all know, so nobody's forgot.
Get it right. You are listening to the Transfer Insiders, by the way, with me, Nick Bright, and Angelina Kelly, the Manchester United fan. And this is time for you to be in your element, because I guess the headline is not one that you will revel in. City have finished above Manchester United in each of the last 13 Premier League seasons, basically since Sir Alex Ferguson left.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a tough time for Manchester United fans, because I can only imagine what it feels like, because I know, Spurs did have a couple of seasons where they finished above Arsenal, but it wasn't prolonged.
No.
And to go from being the super club in the league to have, Man City essentially usurp you must have been hard to take. But, can Manchester United get back there? They're back in the Champions League. It's starting to look good under Carrick. I know there's a lack of signings that people aren't necessarily happy with, but can Manchester United stop the rot?
You know what? I allow myself to dream of this every now and then, of what will it be like when it finally happens. I guess on paper, this is the best opportunity. Pep Guardiola's gone. We've got Bernardo Silva out the door. We've got Rodri, who could be on the brink of winning another Ballon d'Or, out the window. I think that some City fans, not all, of course, because they're going to back themselves, but I think a few are a bit nervous going into this new season. Life after Pep Guardiola at any club is not going to be easy. And when he is so ingrained in everything Manchester City, it will be difficult. And I think losing out on a couple of those players, John Stones as well, who I think still could have played in the Premier League, to be honest. But fair enough. Who am I to question him wanting to go and live in Milan? Because I probably would as well. But there's a couple of things where there could be, some stumbling blocks for City. There are absolutely no guarantees, but then there are no guarantees with Manchester United as well, because the second that you get a little bit excited, the rug is pulled out from under you. But I think people are feeling good about Michael Carrick. Nobody expected what happened last season for them to finish so high up the table. So, yeah, I think on paper, this is the best chance.
Yeah, listen, I found it quite strange, and I'm not a Manchester United fan, as I'm sure you already know. I'm not banging on about it enough, but I found it quite strange that the job that Carrick did, I thought he was doing a really good job.
Yeah,
it kind of hurt me a little bit, because I think
we beat you guys.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
and that was the worst as well. Just indulge me quickly. I was in Tenerife when that game happened.
Yeah,
and I was in a pub which was obviously full of Brits.
Yeah,
and it was. When I say I was the only Arsenal supporter in there, I'm not exaggerating. I was the only Arsenal supporter.
Yeah.
It's a sea of Man United fans.
Yeah.
And when Arsenal scored to go to bring it back to well, how did that game go? Arsenal went 1-0 up. Then Man United scored. Then Arsenal. Was it 3-2 the game? It finished 3-2.
So.
It finished 3-2. I'm pretty sure it finished 3-2. Yeah, that's why I'm getting confused. Arsenal brought it back to 2-2.
Yep.
Marino goal. I jumped up and went crazy.
Yeah.
Expecting other people to also jump up, and I was the only one. And then obviously, was it Ahmad scored an absolute banger? Was it in that game?
Cunha.
Yeah, someone scored a banger. I don't even care who it was. They scored a banger, and they were jumping in my face. It was horrific, absolutely horrific. But yeah, Manchester United have always been a club that I've enjoyed it when they're suffering. But I looked at the job that Carrick did last season, and I was surprised. Back to my point, that there was a lot of Man United fans that I was seeing online who didn't want him to get the job. Where were you in that, and can you contextualise that as a Man United supporter?
So, to be completely honest, when he first got named, there was a bit of an eye roll from me of, we're just getting these old Man United players in. We just had Darren Fletcher, we've got Michael Carrick, what is going on, etc. But listen, he rose to the occasion, and I think when we started to see those results coming in, any criticism from me completely stopped. I was sceptical at the beginning, but he proved the doubters wrong. I think the way that he dealt with the whole situation of getting morale back up, bringing Kobbie Mainoo back in, which if it wasn't for, I know he didn't play at the World Cup, but if it wasn't for Carrick, Kobbie Mainoo wouldn't have even been within a shout of that England squad. The things that he did for him, just really galvanising the players and getting them to believe again. plus the results that kept coming, we were in a position where I was going into the weekend and I wasn't nervous. And I was like, no, I think United can win this game or that game or whatever. You know, I wasn't completely distraught like I usually am. And all Man United fans want, they want consistency. The ownership is a completely different story. I could be here all day. Stadium, new stadium, whatever it's going to be, the circus tent, we could be here all day. But all that Man United fans want is consistency, somebody leading the team that understands the club, and for our top players to be playing at their best. And he's done all of those things. Every challenge that has been presented to him, he has rose to the occasion. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen under Michael Carrick in this new season.
15-year-old wonder kid, a name that I've seen chucked around on social media, and this happens quite a lot. But, you know, there's a lot of excitement about JJ Gabriel, who was born in 2010, by the way. He was 2 when the Olympics were on in London, just to contextualise it for everyone. Well, he came on for Man United today against Atletico Madrid. He replaced Brian Mbeumo, who scored twice in the 2-1 win. So what do we know about JJ Gabriel, and why are Manchester United fans so excited about this player?
I mean, he's been absolutely brilliant so far. I mean, I think it was 23 goals in 23 games for United's under-18s. He's good with the assists as well. He's just a really exciting talent. And again, because he's so young, and we're seeing other players, you know, like Max Darwin getting opportunities, etc. He's, you know, I guess United's version of that. You know, he helped United to the FA Youth Cup final. They did lose it to Manchester City, but, you know, he scored, I think, 6 goals in that competition. So, yeah, just a really exciting goal scorer. And I think for Manchester United, the youth side of things, we're seeing a couple of players come through, a few former players' children in, like Darren Fletcher's sons, etc. But to actually have an exciting goal scorer from Man United's youth academy, we've not really seen anybody for a while, and somebody to really be impressing the way that he is. So I think they've got to be very careful as to how they bring him in, because obviously United brought Chido Obi-Martin from Arsenal, and everyone was expecting that to be like absolute fireworks. Hasn't quite clicked just yet, and we probably introduced him a little bit too early. So I think with this player, you've got to be really careful how you handle it. But so far, every height he keeps hitting. So, yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, but are you in agreement with most other United fans that I interact with that you want to see more business done in this transfer window? Because Tielemans has come in, Santos has come in as well. But, you know, I don't think Manchester United fans are happy with the activity so far.
Yes, and I completely understand that every area of the pitch, I think you could argue Manchester United needs somebody. Senny Loman's obviously the number 1 keeper. He made that mistake at the World Cup, not great for him. But, you know, overall, he's, you know, you're nailed on starter. But I think when it comes to the defence, there are a lot of holes. I touched on earlier when it comes to the fullbacks. I don't think Diogo Dalot and Luke Shaw are good enough long term. If you want to be competing for a Premier League title, I don't see them being able to help provide that. I really like the look of Jed Spence at the World Cup. I really wanted to see United being in for him. I've not heard of anything so far. Centre-backs is a massive, massive issue. Can't keep relying on Harry Maguire forever. And yeah, the midfielders, I know, speaking to our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, who's a Manchester United fan as well, he always kind of hinted at this idea of this marquee signing, and everyone hopes it'd be Elliot Anderson. It obviously isn't, but even names like Carlos Baleba was floated around, etc., and we've not had that big one that's made everybody jump up and go, wow. Not that Tielemans isn't, you know, a great experienced Premier League player, but it's just missing a little bit, and maybe we were spoilt last season because it was the likes of Mbeumo and Cunha, and it's like, wow, I didn't even think we'd be able to get these players. What is going on? So, yeah, I understand where people are coming from, but I think you've got to trust the process. I like the idea that the one thing I'll give the new ownership is that they're not, you know, just panicking and being in for everybody and making silly bids and spending ridiculous money. I like the fact that it's a little bit more measured, and that's what Manchester United need, really. So I do see where people are coming from, but you've got to trust the process.
Yeah. All right, well, it is your turn, of course, to get involved with the conversation. We love to hear from you on the Transfer Insider, so you can give us a call, 03717 223344. We want to know the one player that you desperately would like at your club this summer. We want your sales pitch, basically, to try to convince your dream signing to join your club. You never know, they might be listening. You know what I mean? Words carry weight. Angelina, though, has just upset a load of Spurs fans by calling for Jed Spence.
What's the problem?
I mean,
why wouldn't he want to play for Man United?
I mean, yeah, it's
just make your peace with it. Listen, he's might look further afield. He might want to join a top club in the northwest of England, a top club in the Premier League with loads of great history. That's not you. It's Man United, so get over it. Be fine.
Ooh, scathing from her there. Look at that. Right, next, though, we are joined in the studio by an Olympic gold medalist. That's exciting. This is the Transfer Insiders with Nick Bright and Angelina Kelly right here on talkSPORT.
Staying with Liverpool, there are some reports that they have now made a formal offer worth £100 million for Bradley Barcola. I reported a couple of days ago that Barcola wanted to make the move to Anfield, but you've not been too inspired by this possibility.
No, I'm with Jamie Carragher in the camp that I saw him the other day talking about it. We have like 3-4 left wingers already, players who can play there. We need to fill the void by Salah. Frimpong was meant to help with that, but we know he's got medical injury issues last year and not quite what we like to see out wide right when he did play. We need a right winger. It's concerning. And we're going out and we're getting another pacey player who plays on the left majority of the time. So unless Rio's going to get put on the right, square pegs, round holes, all that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't love it because of the money. If he was 60, 70 million, and I get it, he's not. Yeah. You think, okay, it's a no-brainer. Then you maybe sell Gakpo and you clear up some space on the left and you still go get a right winger. But Liverpool right now are playing with one centre-back and the other centre-back on one leg. So, they've got issues. McAllister's going to come back. He was a shadow of himself last year. They need some help in central midfield. Potentially need a right-back because really we haven't got a right-back. Frimpong's obviously going to play in
Joe
there,
Gomez is now
else.
going to miss the start of the season.
Yeah, that's Joe Gomez. God bless him. He could have been a world-class defender, but obviously injuries have stopped that. So Liverpool have got a lot of holes to fill. So, and you got to start a right wing to fill Mo Salah's, departure. So it does concern me that we're going down this rabbit hole where we might end up paying, I don't know, like the Weirds money, you overpay, and then does the player adapt to the Premier League, and is it another bad signing? And it's frustrating for me.
You're pulling out the tunes again, guys. You're pulling out the tunes. Queen of the Night by Whitney. Oh, love this. Karaoke classic.
Whitney's just, you've knocked out the park here. I don't know what you're going to do to bet yourself now.
Yeah. Although, trying to do Whitney at karaoke is very dangerous. It's one of those artists you need to avoid, I think.
You've got to be careful, yeah. You can't, unless you've actually you can sing. Like, for me, for example, it would sound, I'd feel like I'd be disrespecting her.
No good at the karaoke, no?
No, my cousin is a fantastic singer. She got all of the singing.
We're not talking about your cousin here.
I know, I'm just saying, she robbed them all from me.
Right, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
robbed all the singing talent.
Well, we're joined in the studio by an Olympic gold medalist and Manchester United supporter, Greg Rutherford. Greg, hello, mate.
How's everything going, chaps?
Yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah, good. Been chatting about Man United.
Very good.
Yeah, happy about the transfer window?
Obviously, it's been slightly slower after the Tielemans and Santos stuff. Although I watched them today, I tell you what, Santos in particular, looked sort of breaking the line passes, looked fantastic. I was quite after that. Shea Lacey looked quite good as well. So, Yeah, quite.
That's good, isn't it? It's weird.
Do you know what? I think there's a few United fans out there who are very doom and gloom about things because they just expect 5 massive signings to be every summer. And they want a lot of money spent. But the issue I sort of have, and I think you'll obviously have the same, we've done that previous years and it's ended up very, very badly.
Yeah.
Watching some of the guys who are out there today, like, again, Shelley's in particular, I think he looked fantastic at times. And there's obviously talk about him moving on. So I'd be keen for him to stick about, get a bit of a chance and see where we go. But of course, a centre mid is almost certainly needed. See what happens at left back. Maybe another striker. There's a lot.
So there is a wish list still.
Well, it's not even a wish list as such. I think there's things that are definitely needed, aren't there? I mean, like we can't get away from that. But I don't think it's as bad as people think. And obviously, the way Carrick saw us in at the end of the season last year, I think it's a nice thing to build on. We can't be doom and gloom. We've got to see how things play out a little bit.
I do think it will be interesting this season around Manchester United back in Europe, of course, playing twice a week essentially, which is going to be difficult. You need signings because you need squad depth.
Yeah, well, that is the big thing, isn't it? I think last year as well, the fact that we went out of everything so early and didn't have Europe, it's one of those where, it probably that tail end of the Prem looked better, maybe because we were more rested, of course.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. I'm quietly confident. I'm not just sort of saying go out win the Premier League. Like, it's not that. I just feel like it's going to be a significantly better start than how it was under Ruben, and I just feel like quite excited about the prospect of what could happen going forwards.
Carrick calm.
Yeah,
Carrick calm. I think that's what it is. He just brings a bit of.
And you see it. I feel like every time you see any footage, and of course, look, when it's played out to the media, you're going to be seeing the better bits of it. But they all look pretty happy, pretty calm as well on pre-season. And obviously, we're waiting for a whole load of athletes to get back out. Then I'm calling them athletes because they're athletes. And I'm just having that little link there, and just waiting for them all to come back, obviously from their World Cup break. But it's one of those things that, again, I'm excited about it. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as some United fans, especially certain ones that are in media-based positions. There's a couple of online ones that are one in particular who's very doom and gloom at the moment, which I think is obviously clickbait, but it's equally one of those things that again, you can't get ahead of it. You have to wait and see what happens a little bit. We know we're not exactly where we want to be, but you have to build towards something.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's building blocks, isn't it? Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say.
Exactly.
Right, let's talk Commonwealth Games then, because talkSPORT 2 listeners can expect to hear you in a bit, along with Natalie Sawyer. What can we expect tonight on the programme?
It's going to be a pretty frenetic sort of show tonight. I think so. It was 44 gold medals were up for grabs today across the day.
Wow.
I think Natalie did the maths, right? And Natalie claims to not be very good at maths.
Okay.
So I think she said 31 or so have already been won. So we'll sort of talk about a load of those. There's been some exciting things within the boxing, the netball actually, which the final takes place tomorrow. Hasn't actually played, but it's pretty special what's happened. So we'll round up about that. The cycling's going on at the moment. That's been really exciting. And then athletics, we've got 11 gold medals to be won tonight. Some of the highlights will probably be the women's long jump. Jazz Sawyers for England will be going in that. She qualified in second place for that final. Come back from some horrific injuries. So for Jazz, it's amazing that she's out there and being as competitive as she is. Men's pole vault will be pretty good. Marshall of Australia is in good nick, gone over 6 metres, which is like the holy grail of pole vault. So he'll want to see what he can do. Got men's 8. The relays for both 4x1 men's and women's, but the ultimate and the absolute showstopper of this entire athletics programme is going to be the men's mile. Josh Kerr, who just smashed the world record a couple of weeks ago now in Diamond League in London, was out of this world. 27 years that world record had been held for, and he goes out there and smashes it. And he's got Cam Myers of Australia. And the Australians, I mean, look, if you've been following any of it, the Australians have been killing most of this Commonwealth Games. The swimming was a joke. Yeah. They won both the men's and women's 10,000 metres as well in the athletics. They've been winning medals across everything, and they generally do dominate, but it does feel like slightly unfair this time. But Jake Whiteman as well is also in there, and he was a 100 metre world champion back in 2022 as well. So it's a really good field. It's going to be very exciting. The Aussies are calling Cam. They think he's going to do Josh. I don't think anybody can take Josh in Scotland in the form that he's in, but it will be genuinely one of the most exciting races that we'll have of the entire Commonwealth Games. It's coming tonight. I believe that is at 8:55. So Michael Waydock and Chrissy Ohurugu, who are in the stadium, they will be covering it, giving us play-by-play, and we'll be chatting about it and filling everybody in. So It's been good so far.
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, Greg, you enjoy that, my friend. Greg Rutherford, who will be with Natalie Sawyer, 7 p.m. over on Talk Sport 2. Right, let's talk then. Curtis Jones, how much is he worth, and has he achieved enough? I mean, it's. I don't know if you saw this, Angelina. Curtis Jones having an argument with Dominic Soboslai over the captain's armband.
Embarrassing.
It's. What did you make of that first before we delve further into Curtis Jones?
Yeah, I mean, with the situation, we seem to see a lot of arguments over he should have been given the captain's armband. He's not happy that he wasn't given the captain's armband. You know, if you're in a stadium and you're having those kind of rows, the armband got thrown on the floor at one point, people are going to pick up on it. People are going to be filming it. It's going to be on social media. If you genuinely have an issue with it, deal with it in private. But I just don't see why you would get so upset about something like that. I think it's just really silly. I don't think it's a good look. And again, if this is really upsetting you that much, don't be doing it on a football pitch, because exactly what you expect to happen has happened. Was he saying something, he got caught mouthing like I'm done or something like that, and be like, oh, he's done with the football club. I think it's a bit of a reach, but optically, it just looks ridiculous. It's a pre-season game. What are you rowing over an armband for?
I honestly don't get it. Obviously, I'm not in the heat of the moment when it's happening, but for me,
is an armband that big of a deal? Like
anything like that, you just deal with it in the dressing room, don't you?
Yeah.
You say, right, we're going to have words, but we'll do it in the dressing room. We're not going to do it here because it's silly, as you've rightfully pointed out. Cameras pick up on absolutely everything now, and then people have their own narratives that they want to sow. So, but back to the original question. Curtis Jones, how much is he worth? And I guess, do you think he's kicked on to the heights that when he first burst onto the scene at Liverpool, Liverpool fans were quite excited about him? Do you think he's achieved everything that he should have done?
I mean, he's 25 years of age. I mean, looking at what he's won, 2 Premier League trophies, he's won the FA Cup, EFL Cups, Champions League runner-up, Club World Cup. Not too bad for a 25-year-old. I mean, regarding what he's worth, it's hard to tell because it's not like he's done anything that massively offends me, but I think he's just been fine.
But you list those trophies, and you are completely right, by the way, if you're going by the facts and the medals that he has in his cabinet.
Decent.
Yeah, absolutely right. But
was he at the heart of any of that?
Exactly. Was he the man involved, pulling strings?
I don't quite think so. I mean, he didn't kick on last season. Had a good season in Klopp's final year. I think Slot's first season he looked okay, but it's a bit of a shame because he was in the England picture under Lee Carsley. Tuchel hasn't given him a chance, and his form just seems to have tailed off a little bit. So I think it's one of those. I'm a big fan, especially when I'm talking about Man United, of cut the cord. And with this situation, I don't think I've seen enough for him to warrant him being a key piece of a Liverpool puzzle. So if he is off, it's paired with the armband fighting and all that silliness, then maybe it's just best for everyone.
Yeah, Inter Milan's reported bid of 30 million.
I think that's all right.
Yeah, but the valuations are so hard to get my head around.
Inflation. With Elliot Anderson, the money that City have paid, everything then just raises, doesn't it? So it's hard to even know what's real and what's not.
But also 30 million then just feels cheap as chips.
Yeah, but then it's not really, but it feels like it. It was very confusing.
Yeah, the market is absolutely mad. I think that'd be a good move for him, though.
Yeah.
Inter Milan, obviously John Stones has just gone there, so he'll have another English lad in the dressing room there.
Yeah, been at Liverpool a long time,
Yeah.
Been a good servant to the club, technically, no hard feelings, just onto something else.
Yeah, so you think he'd be remembered well if he was to go by Liverpool fans?
He'd be remembered, he was all right. I don't think that, people are going to be, lining the streets to applaud him and wave him off. I think it's just a case of, you've been all right when we've needed you, but it hasn't quite kicked on as we expected at 25, so crack on kind of thing.
All right, well, one of the things that Liverpool fans like to kind of sing and celebrate is when they have Scousers in the team.
Yeah,
call it,
true.
right? So obviously Curtis Jones is one of those. The man before that was Trent Alexander-Arnold. Didn't necessarily end well for Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool, but you've got a hot take here that you've been thinking about this.
Yeah, I've been mulling things over, and listen, I know what it's like for a player to, in your opinion, betray the club, especially one of your own, especially being a Liverpudlian. I get it. You know, when Real Madrid comes calling, it is hard to say no. We have to be honest with that. And he's made the move and it hasn't really worked out. And you look at Liverpool and you think, do they need a new right back? I mean, Frimpong didn't look great last season. I think he's probably better playing further forward. You know, Bradley injured. I think maybe they should cut their losses and just explore the Trent situation. I'm not saying you've got to sign him immediately. Let's just explore this because Real Madrid have signed another right back in Denzel Dumfries. That is not good news for Trent. So why can't everyone just, you know, take some ownership? I'm big on accountability. Take a bit of accountability and we can all come back together and be happy. You know, Marcus Rashford and Manchester United, they may be having not exactly the same, but a similar situation of having to come back. I think that there is a way back, and surely there's one Liverpool fan listening that would have him back. I can't be on my own here. I just think that it would be, you may as well try it because he's so good. He was so good at Liverpool. Also could potentially help his England career as well. Maybe Tuchel will start having him now. We're not too sure. But
I don't think so. I think I've got more chance of
yeah,
playing for
true.
England
I'll
now
be
at
honest,
this
I'm
point.
being kind to Trent there, aren't I? But you know what? Back at Liverpool where, you know, a few games, few goals, maybe a few assists or something. He does something. If he ends up helping Liverpool, like, win the Premier League or get to a Champions League final, if he does something really, really good for Liverpool, I know the fans are loyal, but surely that's his way of saying sorry and making up for it. If he can make up for it, why not?
Are you asking the question or not? I feel like you've cooled on it since we were chatting in the office.
No.
In the office, you said Liverpool fans should have Trent Alexander-Arnold
You should have
back.
him back because on paper, things have gone wrong, yes, but there's always a road back. People sometimes deserve second chances, and I think Trent does. So the way things are going, right back situation, you've got a gap there. Get him back in.
All right. Would you have that as a Liverpool supporter? I would love to know because the way that
Got to be one.
Well, the way that it finished was, you know, they were booing him at Anfield and all of that. You know what I mean? So would you have him back? 0371722 3344. Still to come, we're going to talk about Spurs, a little bit of Jack Grealish as well, and get the very latest on Amanda Staveley's imminent investment in West Ham.
Now, the Asian Football Confederation in the last couple of hours have come out and condemned Gianni Infantino's proposals to sell off
very late condemnations, aren't they? They're all panicking.
Competitions. Well, they are. Obviously, UEFA have come out strongest by suggesting they would boycott all FIFA competitions, including the Men's and Women's World Cup, the Club World Cup. There's actually an under-20 Women's World Cup that's due to start in September, so we may find out if they'll go through with that threat very soon. UEFA's 55 member associations held an emergency meeting earlier this week, and as I say, they voted a boycott if FIFA proceeds with plans to sell stakes in its competitions to private investors. There was a statement released by FIFA, I think it was 4 o'clock this morning UK time, so we were all napping. They said nobody is selling football, but they did vow to continue with the controversial proposal to sell stakes in its competition to private investors. FIFA, in their statement, claimed the consultation process had been, quote, disrupted by incorrect media reports.
My answer to this is that everyone always screams about FIFA's a bit of a dictatorship, but it's actually a democracy whereby you still have to have all the nations vote for this through, Alex, right?
Yes.
So Infantino can't just force it through. It was never going to happen that way, and I think it's dead in the water now.
Well, I was just about to come on to that. So in order for this proposal to be passed, FIFA's 211 members would need to vote. Therefore, Infantino would need 106 votes in favour.
Yep.
UEFA and CONCACAF members combined make up 96 of those votes. The AFC makes up 47. So
that's how democracy works.
It's dead, basically.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It is dead.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars.
Oh, what a tune. Tony Bennett, Fly Me to the Moon. I keep thinking they're going to run out of tunes, but it's surprising me.
Loving
Surprising
that.
me, yeah. Another one born in August. I feel like I need to ask ChatGPT, which month has the most talented musicians born in?
It could be this one. I mean, before today, I only thought my auntie's birthday was in August. Now I'm learning all this today.
The most talented and handsome people are born in August.
Isn't it your birthday, August?
It is, yes. So thanks for asking.
19?
The 20th. You'll get it by the end of the show, don't worry. You'll get it by the end of the show. Right, so before we were playing you Tony Bennett and Fly Me to the Moon, we were talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold and whether Liverpool fans would actually take him back. It was a hot take of yours, actually, Angelina.
Yes, that music just kind of calmed things before it heats up, I've got a feeling.
Well, let's find out, because Aaron is a Liverpool fan and joins us now. Aaron, mate, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate, not too bad. How are you after hearing that? Are you someone in agreement, or do you think that Angelina is crazy?
No, I am in total agreement. I think we have a big problem at right back, actually, since Trent left. I'm a big fan of Frimpong, but he's just not, in my opinion, he is not starting 11 standard for Liverpool Football Club. And with Robbo leaving as well this season, we've lost a lot of assist makers. And I feel when you look back at Klopp's Liverpool, we were very, very strong with the fullback getting up, crossing it in. And I think that's what we need this season, but we've lost it. So if Trent is an option, I would bring him back straight away. I also don't think you've seen the prime Trent at Real Madrid. He just doesn't suit that style, in my opinion. I would say get him home, get him back to his roots, get him playing proper football again.
But would the fans have him, Aaron? That's my thing. You know, it was so toxic come the end. I just can't see even the mural of him that's next to Anfield.
It was heat of the moment, though. Surely there's a way back.
Do you know what? I don't think an apology would do anything. If we do bring him back, if he does come back, it would have to be, you've got to show it on the pitch. You've got to fight for that badge again and remember who taught you football. And I think it would have to be based on results, really, wouldn't it? And what he puts out on the field.
What are you hoping for next season then, Aaron? You know, it didn't necessarily go to plan last season. Are you hoping to be challenging for that Premier League again?
Absolutely. I think that's what Liverpool need to be challenging for the league each season. The top four minimum is what I say. Obviously, there'll be some change, but it will be good to see some attacking football again. That's what it looks like with the new manager. Looks like we're going to have more Klopp-style football rather than, slot. It was really disappointing. It's still got a bitter taste in my mouth saying his name.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much. Great call. Let's speak to Carl, also a Liverpool fan. And Carl, first, before we get into Trent Alexander-Arnold, do you want to speak about Curtis Jones, right?
Yes, I do, actually. I think if we get a bid of 40 million, then they should accept that, and hopefully the lad will go. I think he's run his race with us, and I think he needs a new challenge to maybe get the best out of himself and also maybe force himself back into the England squad, because he's not going to do that at Liverpool. I don't think the managers see him as a first team player, but as a squad player. And I think that's bad for him. And I think a move would do everybody good. It brings some money in and also help him. But on the issue of Trent, I think we should be going back to Real Madrid, offer them 20 million. They've made a 10 million profit, but we'll be getting a proven Liverpool player back in the squad, somebody who can go straight into the team. And like the previous caller said, all he's got to do is prove himself on the pitch and everything would be forgotten. We've had players leave us before. Ian Rush went to Italy, came back after a year, was a complete success. Fowler did it. He came back and did very well. So I can't see why Trent can't be the same.
Do you think? Do you think, Carl, that the whole him understanding Liverpool, being from the city, having had so many good experiences with the club, getting Liverpool's DNA, do you think that will be an important part of it as well?
Yeah, I do. And also, obviously, I know what you were saying about sort of Scousers in the team, and that's what the fans are singing. So if we're going to potentially lose one in Curtis Jones, what better way to placate that by bringing another one back in?
Yeah. Yeah, Carl, thank you very much, mate. Good call from Carl. I can't believe there's two having it.
I'm quite surprised. I'm worried about what's coming next, though.
I was almost certain that everybody was going to be against you on this.
Yeah.
And they probably are, but you didn't ring in, did you?
No, I mean, listen, I get it, and I get the Duolingo thing. I think that's what got people doing the Duolingo on the sly, learning Spanish. It was a little bit rude. I do get that, but there were some good times, and I think if we can get some of those good times back, I think that this could work. I think I'm onto something. We love conflict resolution. This is what we need, you know.
There's nothing wrong with learning a bit of Spanish on the side as a hobby, you know. Estoy aprendiendo español también,
bien.
you know. Like, come on. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly, you know. And I just think there's a way back. You know, Spanish players in the team, you can communicate with them, you know. There's a way back here.
Yeah.
I really do think there is a way back. And like you say, if he goes and proves it on the pitch, if he scores a goal in a Champions League semi-final one day that gets him, you know, to the how amazing would that be?
I mean, it would be pretty amazing.
You'd have to forgive him.
Let's find out what Wayne thinks. Wayne, also a Liverpool fan. Hello, Wayne, mate.
Oh, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. So Aaron and Carl both, you know, having Trent Alexander back at Anfield. What are your thoughts?
I'd have him back in a heartbeat. He's absolutely brilliant. I'll tell you what, Angelina, you've made a great point there. We need someone back like that. And I'll tell you what, the reason why Liverpool done so badly last season, we let go of so many good players. And the fact that, you know, we're buying all this, you know, young players and we've spent so much money. We've overinflated the market. It's backfired on us because we wanted Diamandi and, you know, we would have had to pay a fortune for him. And I just think, you know, Trent coming back would just be such a boost for us. I really do. I really do.
What do you think about the reception that he would get at Anfield? Would he prepare to get booed, do you think? Or do you think it's been enough time passed? Or how would he tackle it? How should he tackle it?
Well, he's a Scouser lad, so like, you know what, you know, the fans have to sort of like, you know, forgive him. You know what I mean? He's not the only Liverpool players who've gone to Real Madrid.
I don't think it was personal either, was it? You know, Real Madrid call. What are you supposed to do?
Exactly. It's a chance in a lifetime, isn't it? And I just think that, you know, bygones be bygones. We just, you know, forgive and forget, and we just get on with it. Because I tell you what, that Liverpool side, at the moment, I'm just really concerned the fact that, you know, we keep spending all this money and it's just not going anywhere. Do you know what I mean? And I just think that last season, if we had just brought a lot more own British talent, I think we would have made such a difference. But I think that, you know, we've lost so much, you know, homegrown talent in, you know, we've just lost so many good experienced players. It's just, you know, it's really coming back on us now. You know what I mean? And I just think we need to buy some, you know, British talent. And I think it would make a massive difference. You know what I mean? I just think this season, we've just got to turn it around, because if we don't, we just got to keep winning it, you know, like every 5 years. And that's just not a Liverpool standard. You know what I mean? We just need to sort of, you know, I think that we need to sort of like stop spending silly money and just bring some British talent in the club. I really do.
Yeah. All right, Wayne, thank you very much. Aaron, Carl and Wayne there all agree with Angelina.
I promise I don't know them. They're not my friends that have rang up on the sly or anything. Genuine Liverpool fans with those opinions.
Honestly, if I wasn't on the radio right now, I'd be speechless because I wasn't expecting that response. I mean, maybe you disagree. 03717 2233 44 is the number. Right, on the way then, a bit of breaking news on the ever-moving situation surrounding FIFA. talkSPORT has learned Gianni Infantino could face an emergency FIFA Council meeting in which he will be asked to resign or remove his candidacy for 2027. So that bit of breaking news for you regarding Gianni Infantino and FIFA. This is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. Coming up, can Tottenham fans expect a new and improved Richarlison next season?
let's bring in Terry Gibson, Spanish football expert. Terry, always good to speak to you. Lots of news stories over in Spain at the moment. Let's start with that Marcus Rashford farewell post to Barcelona. Looks like his hopes of return to the Camp Nou are now very much over.
Yes, it does, and I think it was a blow to him when Anthony Gordon. It must have been kind of awkward when the England team met up for the World Cup when Anthony Gordon had already completed his move to Barcelona. Marcus Rashford's future was hanging in the air, and then they signed Karim Adeyemi. So it's it's not going to happen now for Marcus Rashford. I have to be honest, I'm really surprised. I thought it was a good value in terms of the transfer fee, and I thought his form last season was as good as you would expect, and he couldn't have done any more. He scored some important goals. He actually effectively got the goal that won them the league title. He was popular with his teammates and popular with the fans. So I'm surprised. Even when Anthony Gordon signed, I still thought there was a possibility that Rashford would still go. But the signing of Adeyemi has put a stop to that.
Is it just wages? Because obviously Anthony Gordon would command a much lower weekly salary than Rashford.
But he was £80 million. Rashford was 26.
Yeah.
So 26 million, slightly difference in their ages as well. People are forgetting they've got Rafinha that plays there as well. So the problem positions that everyone thought they had, and they still have, are centre forward, Lewandowski leaving the club, and they should have bought a better centre back than what they currently have.
Formula One. It's a sport often seen as insular and elitist, but it's seen a meteoric rise under its owners Liberty Media, not only in popularity and viewership, but in the ability to almost print money. From greater access to more races, here's how it happened. For decades, Formula One was owned and run by one man, Bernie Ecclestone. He was old school, someone who thought the sport itself was enough, and there was no need for all this modern marketing and social media nonsense. But in 2016, Ecclestone agreed to sell his baby to American group Liberty Media. It cost Liberty Media $4.4 billion, and they quickly got to work. We got an F1 app almost immediately, and teams were allowed to show us more from behind the scenes. One of Liberty's most important deals was with Netflix, which in 2019 brought us Drive to Survive. The effect? An almost 70% rise in viewership for races in the US alone. It's massively benefited Formula One online too, with a rise from 7.8 million followers across its social media platforms in 2016 to around 50 million today. New eyes are on the sport too, with F1's own subscription TV channel, which people can watch anywhere in the world. But the main market they've tapped into is the US. There's now 3 races there a year, in Texas, Miami and Las Vegas, and an American-branded team, Cadillac, getting involved in the sport too. More races seems to be the direction of travel. A street circuit in Madrid's being welcomed onto the calendar, while conversations around a Grand Prix in Africa have ramped up in the last few years. More big events could be in the offing too, after the massive F1 75 season launch event in London in 2025. 7.5 million people tuned in to watch it live across the social media channels, and that doesn't include the viewing figures for where it was broadcast on TV in certain countries. It seems Liberty will do whatever they can to grow the F1 brand. Their efforts have been worthwhile too, with Forbes valuing the sport at $17.1 billion back in 2023, almost 4 times more than what they bought it for in 2016. Not bad, considering it's seen as a sport where people just drive around in circles.
Bamboleo, bambolea, porque mi vida yo la prefiero vivir así. Bamboleo, bambolea.
Oh, what a tune. Another one. Another one in the words of DJ Khaled. This hour on the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. Nick Bright alongside talkSPORT reporter, host and big Manchester United fan Angelina Kelly. A bit of Gypsy Kings.
I'm a big Gypsy Kings fan.
Oh, really?
My mum is listening to this right now. She's been dancing around the kitchen.
Really?
Oh, we love a bit of Gypsy Kings in the Kelly household, let me tell you.
Why are you not dancing around the talkSPORT studio? Remember, you can watch us on
Trying to be
YouTube.
professional, you know what I mean? I let the shoulders go a little bit. That's all I can do.
Right, okay. We're playing this anyway because we were defending Trent Alexander-Arnold's Duolingo exploits ahead of his controversial free transfer from Liverpool to Real Madrid. They got a bit of money for that, didn't they? I thought it was didn't they get like 10 million quid? For that transfer, I'm sure they got a bit of money for it. Yeah, it was like 10 million quid. Right, anyway, keep your calls coming. 0371722 3344. Any Reds out there who wouldn't have Trent Alexander-Arnold back at Anfield? Because we heard from 3 Reds earlier on who were very keen for him to go back. We'll ask talkSPORT legend Ian Moose Abrahams whether Amanda Staveley's investment in West Ham can be another boost in their bid to rebuild after relegation last season. And what's next for Jack Grealish, left out of Manchester City's tour of Hong Kong? Is there still a player in there? This is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. I can't get enough of this. We're going to have to get rid of it because I can't concentrate on doing the show. I can't concentrate on actually doing my job. Right, anyway, earlier today, Chelsea lost to Spurs 2-1 in Sydney. A London derby played. If you didn't have the numbers in front of you, I was going to ask you because you can see it, can't you?
Yeah, I can.
I was going to ask you, how far do you think it is?
Ooh.
Well, it's 10,560 miles from London. That's
a
quite
long way, that, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, let's speak now to Molly Sumter, who is a producer and Spurs season ticket holder. Molly, hello.
Hello. I'm also loving the Gypsy Kings as well.
Oh, it's a tune.
I noticed it on the timeline the other day. He brought out one of them at Pasha to do like a live thing with
Amazing.
Roger Sanchez. I was like, oh my God, FOMO hitting real hard.
Not only are you at Pasha, you're there when one of the Gypsy Kings is
Doesn't
there,
get any
Roger
better, does
Sanchez.
it?
I mean, that's pretty insane, to be completely honest. We're not here to talk about the Gypsy Kings, unfortunately, though, or Pasha. Unfortunately for me, we're here to talk about Tottenham. Right, let's look at it like this.
Hear you.
No, I'm going to. Molly, let's look at it like this. I feel like, and I'm being fair here, I feel like there is a lot of optimistic kind of thoughts about Spurs at the moment. If you compare it to going into last season, there wasn't any. If you compare it into the season before, it's been a bit of a disaster the past couple of years. But I think, De Zerbi's gone in there. The signings have been good and the optimism has returned. How do you feel as a season ticket holder?
I have to say, I was never a fan of Thomas Frank from the minute he got appointed. I got a lot of slander for that. A lot of people didn't agree with me. But from day dot, I was pretty sure he wouldn't be the man for Spurs. I don't have that same feeling towards De Zerbi. I think as a Spurs fan, we've seen now it really, other than relegation, it could not have got worse than it did. We've seen the real lows. And I think you kind of have to be optimistic now. But what I really like is that the club is now going, right, we are going all in on De Zerbi. You can see with every single move they're making now, it is with De Zerbi and a long-term plan in mind. I like that every signing we've gone and got, some might say we've overpaid for certain players, but we've gone in there, we've got it done. We've got them into the pre-season with De Zerbi. And we're obviously handpicking the ones that De Zerbi wants. So I like that they're putting that confidence behind him and that puts confidence in me.
When you look at it, Molly, and I think we may have had a little discussion about this, but regarding the talent up front, do you have concerns? Do you look at Richarlison and Solanke and think that they can do it for the season? I've got faith in them.
I've got concerns, I think, particularly with, although I'm absolutely buzzing the fact we've beaten Chelsea today, one of the things that was still a concern was the attack. Now, we've got our defenders in, we've gone and solidified that midfield with the transfers we've made. The one place that we're still lacking is in attack. Now, although Richarlison got the winner today,
He has
I'm
these
not...
moments, though, doesn't he, where he has this, like, really, like, hot streak and then it just kind of disappears?
I'm not sure he is the right person. As much as, like, on a personal level, I quite love him, I'm not sure he's the striker that Spurs need to be able to keep going to that next level. Now, we're going to hear from De Zerbi now. He thinks that he would like Richarlison to stay at the club, but we're not sure whether Richarlison himself wants to stay.
I like as a player, as a guy, is unbelievable as a attitude, behavior, but at the end we have to respect what he wants to do. And we know, every one of us knows what he wants to do, but for me he's still an important player because it's not so easy to find another striker as a Richarlison, because Richarlison scores goals and he knows the way. The new striker, we don't know. The other striker, we don't know. He scored 12 goals last season, not for lucky, because he feels the way to score.
De Zerbi on Richarlison there. He scored the winner from 5 yards, I'm reliably informed. We have seen him miss those in the past, though. But you mentioned there, Molly, just about he might not be the number 9 going into this season. I guess the question is then, who is? You know, number 9s, like good ones, are hard to find.
Yeah, got to say, I've not been necessarily convinced by Solanke either. I was excited when he came in. It was going off the back of one good season at Bournemouth, but he's just not proved to be what we thought he was going to be, that sort of consistent goal scorer. I think we're always going to be living in the shadow, and any Spurs striker is going to be living in the shadow of Harry Kane. We're never going to get somebody quite like that ever again. Unfortunately, Krupi was my sort of top of my shopping list if I was the Spurs board, but he's gone and got himself injured.
Yeah.
So he's a perfect fit for Spurs anyway. We seem to be getting players injured before we've even signed them now. But yeah, so it doesn't look like that's going to be the one. I'm really not sure because I think...
What's going on with the bomber?
Yeah.
Who is the bomber?
I love this.
What are the bomber options? What is bomber?
Yeah.
Talk to me about this.
So De Zerbi was speaking about this today, and he's been trying to explain that this means something slightly different in Italian. I'm not quite sure what else this could possibly mean. I think we're looking at Savinho as probably the most likely option. I'm a big fan of this.
It's a good deal.
I really like this. I think he didn't quite suit the style of football that Pep wanted to play, but I think he will work in the De Zerbi system. There was a clip circulating on social media earlier of him coming off the pitch at this pre-season game, and someone shouted out to him, Savinho, come to Spurs, and he's sort of given them the thumbs up. So read into that what you will. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I'm hoping and confident of a Savinho sign-in.
So no parle Italiano then over there? You don't speak Italian?
No.
Understanding at what bomber means.
We need to get on the Duolingo.
Yeah, is there any Italian, speaking people listening to talkSPORT right now who could break that down for us?
What is bomber?
And why does it mean something different in Italian?
Yeah. What's going on with that? We need answers.
Right, Molly. Just before we let you go, though, what are you hopeful for this season? Because it's been tough for Spurs the last couple of seasons. Let's be honest. It's weird. It's a weird one though, because obviously the season before last won the Europa League, and that's kind of just been completely forgotten because of the league position. But what are you hoping for this season? What can De Zerbi realistically do for you?
I think there's obviously the element of you've finished 17th 2 seasons in a row, so limit your expectations. However, we've gone and had a massive transfer window already. He's had all this time to work with the players. He's also not got any European football this year. Mm-hmm. So with all of that in mind, you've got to say, okay, you've got to be looking at least 8th. I'm not thinking we're going to finish any higher than 6th, but anywhere in those places, I think is a fair expectation for Spurs fans to have, all things considered.
And you'd be happy with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anything's better than 17th, isn't it? Come on.
I mean, you should know. You were down.
Exactly. We ended up 3rd. Who knows, Molly? That could happen.
Down there a couple of seasons ago. Let's not forget. Right, Molly, thank you very much. Molly Sumter there, talkSPORT producer and Spurs season ticket holder. Right, up next then, we are going to talk about Jack Grealish and why he's unable to find a way out of Manchester City.
It's an amazing story, actually. It's almost a forgotten man. This is about Mykhailo Mudryk, who has been allowed to come back to football immediately for Chelsea. So you'll remember that this is a man who had a 4-year ban handed down to him for breaching anti-doping rules. He's not played since November 2024 after what was described as an adverse finding of meldonium, which is a banned substance in his system. He appealed against that sentence to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, who have today said that because he accepted breaking anti-doping rules, they have agreed that the time served already is enough of a punishment. So Mykhailo Mudryk is available to play for Chelsea with immediate effect.
Can he even still play football? Is he good enough? He's not played football for 3 years.
Nearly 2 years. Well, Chelsea have released quite a long statement today, obviously welcoming the decision. They've talked about what a difficult period of time it has been for Mykhailo Mudryk. And I think this is the important paragraph here in the statement. We welcome the acknowledgement that advances in the applicable scientific reporting standards for more reliable testing mean that had Misha's sample been analysed under today's technical requirements, it would not have been reported as a positive test and no anti-doping rule violation would have resulted. That is an important part of the context surrounding the agreed resolution and allows everyone involved to move forward.
What a tune. Dua Lipa and Levitating. She's had a great year as well. Dua Lipa got married.
I know.
You know, had the honeymoon of dreams.
Looks
in Italy.
amazing, didn't it?
Oh, it was brilliant. I can't believe I didn't get invited, to be honest.
Bit rude, that.
Yeah.
You need to get on to someone.
I think Royal Mail probably just lost it or something, you know.
I think that's what it was.
It's all good.
Maybe she'll send you a birthday card.
Yes.
20th of August.
We're in the same month.
Yeah.
Really, you know. And there's a Pep Guardiola meme where he's clapping along to this song as well, which is really great. It's a bit of a throwback one, but if you've not seen it, always entertaining. Right, anyway, it is the penultimate day of the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. So let's get an update with talkSPORT's Georgie Heath. Hello, Georgie.
Hello, I was just bopping along, sorry,
Tune.
too. It is, isn't it? Anyway, Over in the Commonwealth Games, plenty of action still today. 11 athletics finals tonight, including Josh Kerr in the men's mile, which will be one to mark your cards. Obviously, he just set the world record just a couple of weeks ago in the mile. Then we've got 7 boxing finals today. We've already had 3 golds for Team England in the boxing today and 3 silvers. The last of those is just happening as we speak. Demar Thomas in action there. Then in the cycling, there's been plenty going on. Down in the netball, the netball was absolute nail-biters of a day. England losing to New Zealand in their semi-final, and then for the first time ever, Australia won't be in the Commonwealth Games final after they lost by a single goal to Jamaica in their semi-final. So England and Australia will play it out for bronze. New Zealand will take on Jamaica in the final there. But all attention tonight is now going to turn to the track, the big one, the mile, and also the long jump with Jasmine Sawyers of Team England in action.
Commonwealth Games update on talkSPORT with the BYD Dolphin Surf City Smart Ocean Cool 100% electric fun.
And thank you very much to Georgie Heath there for us. The reason I'm distracted, Angelina, is I'm just reading this text that's coming from Martin in Merseyside. Bomber. We've got an explanation.
Okay.
I mean, it could be lies, Martin, because I don't know if you're telling the truth or not. But apparently, a bomber kind of means a great striker, sort of proper slang. He says, gifted, great player, goat, that sort of thing.
Oh,
So,
a goat.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, I'd be surprised if Spurs are getting a goat in. No offence.
Imagine if they somehow
Messi.
managed to take Vinicius from you.
I mean,
it wouldn't happen,
Dream
but that'd make it worse, wouldn't it?
I don't even think Vinicius Jr. is going to Arsenal, let alone going to Spurs. So anyway, we're getting into dreamland stuff now. Right, earlier today, Manchester City lost their first friendly, I should say, under Enzo Maresca, beaten on penalties by Inter Milan in Hong Kong. It was 3-1 on penalties after a 1-1 draw. One man who wasn't involved out in Southeast Asia is Jack Grealish. He's not gone at all, in fact. He's been left at home to sort out his future. A move back to Everton, well, that's not materialised yet either. And on breakfast this week, Andy Townsend urged Grealish to save his career by getting out of the Etihad as quickly as possible.
I
agree with you.
I think Jack is such a talent, but he's had, I don't know, it feels like it's been sort of 18 months now to me with him hardly figuring or not playing enough. He's had a few injury problems. I hope he's had an enjoyable summer. I know he'll have had that, but I hope he's looked after himself. He's in good nick, good shape, and that before this window closes, someone comes and says to Jack, "Come on, here's an opportunity for you. Come and do it for us." Because I really do think he's got great ability, but it's time now for him to really, really throw himself at it 100%. Because if he doesn't, if this next 6 months is sort of fizzles out into nothing again, he's not playing much, then he's going to be in real danger of seeing his career disappear a bit.
I agree with you.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it, Angelina, Jack Grealish? I mean, his career trajectory has been strange, obviously, from Villa to Manchester City. And look, achieved it all at Manchester City.
Yeah.
Was a pin-up boy for England as well, let's not forget. But it just seems to have all gone a little bit wrong for him. The move to Everton didn't really help. And yeah, we are where we are now. He kind of been told you're surplus to requirements. Thank you very much. Surplus to requirements under Enzo Maresca. And yeah, it's a bit of a sticky one for him.
Yeah, it's one of those where he'll be 31 in September, I think. He's not an August baby like you. And he's had a really big injury, and you have to weigh that up regarding his future and who's going to want to take a gamble on him. He's on big wages, and you kind of feel conflicted because before that injury, I'm not saying that he would have gone to the World Cup, but you were thinking, could he maybe be in Tuchel's thoughts? If his form can continue, if he can push on, could this maybe be his redemption story in a way? I'm not too sure. And you get conflicted because you feel bad for him. And then we know the stories about, apparently he parties and all this type of stuff. We've seen a few images of him looking like he's asleep in a bar, let's be honest, over the summer. Everyone's allowed to enjoy themselves, but it's just not a good look, is it? And I find that kind of really hard to deal with, but he doesn't have a future at Manchester City. You take the good times that you had. I think when you debate where could he go next, I don't know what you think, Nick, but I'm looking at an Aston Villa return at this point. I think that Unai Emery I poke fun at him a little bit for this, but he loves to be a saviour, doesn't he? He loves to be captain saviour.
You love a return as well, by the
Yeah,
sounds of it, you know.
I love it. And he likes to try and save players just from Manchester in general. I mean, we've had it with Rashford, we've now got it with Garnacho, Jadon Sancho as well. Switch to the blue side, bring Grealish home. Again, great. The fans will love it. So yeah, but I think anybody higher up than Villa, I don't think would take him. So I think maybe there could be a road back.
Yeah, I mean, the wages will be an issue,
Yeah.
won't they? Of course, earning around 300 grand a week at Manchester City. So that's a bit of a problem. But yeah, I like the Aston Villa return.
Yeah.
This one, to be honest with
Would
you.
Everton try again with him?
Well, they covered 75% of the wages last season.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, would Everton fans feel like they got value for money there? Probably not.
No.
You know, he got injured and stuff as well, didn't he? Which didn't help. I still think there's a good player in there, though. And I think that he's got something to prove. My question, I guess, would be, can he get back to that level? Because the amount of injuries he's had, and also, look, you know, whatever you think of what players want to get up to off the pitch, you know, if you're partying a bit too hard, that can have implications as well, especially if you're trying to get back to full fitness.
And to prove that you're worth, taking a risk on, because it is a risk at this point to take Jack Grealish into your club. It is a little bit of a gamble, and when you're hearing things or you're seeing things, it's not going to put a lot of confidence into people.
No, not at all. I mean, would you have Jack Grealish at your club? I mean, I guess that's my question. You know, depending on who you support, and no disrespect.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Here. Let's not be disrespectful to Jack Grealish. In this.
Let's be realistic. If you're a supporter of a Premier League club, or maybe some of the overseas clubs as well that could afford to bring Jack Grealish to the club, would you have him? And if so, what are your reasons for that? Do you think he could do a job for you? 03717 223344. That is the number. I think Villa is a good shout. I'm with you on that.
I love a reunion.
The Villa
I love a
level.
homecoming. Yeah.
Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace could be a good shout. I'm trying to think.
If he returns to Villa, is Gabby involved in the social media fanfare that will come with it or something? Surely he'll get involved.
I mean, he wants to get involved with anything, to be completely honest.
Yeah, he'd love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let us know. Would you take Jack Grealish at your club? 03717 223344. You are listening to the Transfer Insiders here on talkSPORT with me, Nick Bright, and Angelina Kelly.
Liverpool are set to place an opening bid for Bradley Barcola, but what PSG want and what Liverpool are willing to offer at the moment seems quite far away.
Yeah, there's a goal for valuation, but that's normal. PSG's starting position is £145 million. And my information is that in terms of the fixed fee, Liverpool are looking at roughly 80 million, maybe some add-ons on top. But that's the starting point. And knowing this is going to be a difficult negotiation because of PSG's starting position and the fact that they haven't signed Yan Diomande, Liverpool might need to be patient. And my expectation is it might run a similar course to Alexander Isak. And by that, I don't mean the player will agitate and go on strike. But what I do mean is with Alexander Isak, Liverpool placed what they thought was a fair offer early. When it was rejected, they waited until right towards the end of the window and the deal got done in the final hours. And you may note that Newcastle went from not for sale to 125 million, and somewhere in the middle, they were asking for 150 million about 3 weeks before the deal got done. So PSG's starting position, 145, very normal in deals for that to come down by 20 to 25 million. If Liverpool are prepared to go up by 10 or 15 million, suddenly the parties are not that far apart. So the first bid likely testing the water, and then we'll understand whether PSG are grandstanding or they genuinely believe that they can get over £20 million more than the deal that saw Morgan Rogers leave Aston Villa for Chelsea at 117 million.
This must be love. Sound in my heart, the beat goes on and on and on and on and boom. You make me feel good. Come out to me now. Boom. Sound in my heart, the beat goes on and on and on and on and boom. You make me feel good. Come out to me now.
Yeah, you are listening to the Transfer Insiders with me, Nick Bright, and Angelina Kelly. Right, just before we recap, Angelina, some of the day's business in the transfer window, I just wanted to reflect on the game that's been happening in the Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen taking on Hearts. It finished 2-1 to Aberdeen, and we've had it on in the studio, and I've just been kind of glancing at it like whilst we've been chatting, and it was 1-0 to Hearts for most of the game. I looked up as the full-time whistle was blowing. It was 2-1 to Aberdeen. They scored twice in the 90th minute and then in the 95th minute to win it. I mean, what a game!
Yeah, I know. That's what you want. You want a bit of excitement, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, very much so. And I guess if you're an Aberdeen supporter, you got that excitement. If you're a Hearts fan, probably less so, especially off the back of Hearts not doing the business last season. So a disappointing start for them in this new campaign. Right, it's been a busy day of business then in the transfer window. If you're just joining us, here's a reminder of some of the stories that have gone down today then. Chelsea have completed the signing of Danny Welbeck from Brighton for an undisclosed fee. We like that one, right?
Yeah. I mean, Danny Welbeck, big Welbs fan, wish it was Manchester United, but for the player, I think a good move. I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah. I think Chelsea have signed a really decent player there. Can't imagine he's going to go in there to be first choice, but a really, really good backup with bags of Premier League experience and knows exactly where the goal is. Everton have agreed a $7 million deal to sign Christian Norgard from Arsenal. I've got to be honest, I'm sad to see Christian Norgard go. He didn't feature loads for Arsenal, but he's a proper professional player. Stepped up when called upon. There was a bit of an obvious drop-off when he started instead of Declan Rice or, Zubimendi. But, I think he's a good player to have around in the dressing room.
Yeah, good leader. Obviously was captain at Brentford. I mean, it was a little bit tell me Arteta doesn't trust him without telling me Arteta doesn't trust him kind of thing. And ran Zubimendi into the ground before thinking about using him. Obviously brought Miles Lewis-Skelly in ahead of him, etc. So, yeah, a bit of a shame. But you know what? He got his Premier League medal. Made a few appearances, off to somewhere else, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, if I was him, I would very much be saying it was me that got Arsenal over the line.
Yeah.
Before I joined, what were you doing? You didn't come in second in that when I joined.
I set the tone, yeah.
It's all about me in the dressing room. Bournemouth have signed Portugal international defender Antonio Silva from Benfica for £25.7 million. And conversations continue to rumble on around Arsenal and Vinicius Junior, with reports suggesting a deal is not yet off the cards. You're giving me the tiniest crumb of hope with
Be hopeful.
I want
you're allowed to be hopeful.
I want to be, but it's such a big deal. And I think it would send shockwaves to Arsenal's rivals. And I think if Arsenal got this deal over the line, it would be serious.
If you could give something up to guarantee this move, what levels we're talking? Or like anything you'd like, would you lose like a finger for it? Or...
I mean, this has taken a quick turn, this conversation.
I'm just curious, like what would you give up your house or?
What would I give up to make this deal happen?
All your Arsenal shirts with your name on the back?
Oh, I don't know about that. Adam Catterall wasn't happy about that.
No, he wasn't. No, well, have a think if there's anything you'd give up.
I'll have a
little think for the next, half hour.
Little bit of time. Yeah. Bruno Guimaraes as well, also getting closer. £75 million likely to be the fee. I mean, this could be famous last words on national radio, couldn't it? But I'll be shocked if that deal doesn't happen. I feel like too much has gone on for that not to go through. Do you know what I mean? So I think that will happen. It's just a matter of time. Right, Angelina, you are going to give us a roundup of some of the big transfers that have been happening in the WSL. And there's been loads of activity.
Yeah, there has by pretty much everyone apart from Manchester United. I'll get on to that if I've got time. But yeah, big talking point has been London City Lionesses. This is going to be their second season in the WSL. Their owner, billionaire Michelle Kang, who also owns Lyon as well, has a say in the men's side with Lyon as well as the women's. She isn't messing about. She has basically, Lyon actually played Barcelona in the Champions League final, lost, and I think she's taken it personally because she's took like 3 of Barcelona's best players for her own clubs. Alexia Putellas to London City Lionesses is the big one, 2-time Ballon d'Or winner. Part of her thinking was she didn't want to have to play against Barcelona. London City Lionesses aren't in the Champions League at the moment, so kind of makes sense from that point of view. Excited to see what she'll bring to the WSL. London City Lionesses finished 6th last season, so that's quite a good finish for a team that was promoted. But can she drag them herself, to the top of the table? It is a big ask. Their manager hasn't really done much. The last team he was coaching was Tenerife.
Wow.
But Michelle Kang, she sees the vision with him, so fair enough. But they also got Mapi Leon from Barcelona, Mary Earps in net. People will be really excited to see her back in the WSL. And Kadiatu Diani, experienced player from Lyon, she's 31 years of age, but will be important for London City Lionesses. Your side, Arsenal.
Yeah. Just before, I've just got to say, just about London City Lionesses, I think it's good to see a team which
take the ball by the horns.
Yeah, but also they're not a subsidiary team of a Premier League team.
Yeah, they split away from Millwall a few years ago, and the only standalone team. Yeah,
and I think it's good to see that happening, and the fact that they're trying to take on the likes of Arsenal, the Chelseas, the Man Cities. They're really going for it.
Yeah, 100%. Last season they brought in about 17 players, give or take. So yeah, Michelle is not messing about here. She really firmly believes in this project. Their first game in the WSL in this new season will be against Manchester United. I'll be there for talkSPORT reporting on that one. Be very interesting to see what happens. But yeah, they really are trying to challenge. And a team like Arsenal, for example, they'll be coming up against. They got battered by them last season away. They'll be looking to try and close that gap. And Arsenal bringing in Georgia Stanway, obviously England superstar. Ona Baye, who is one of the best fullbacks in the world, Spain's right back. Very, very important because they did lose Katie McCabe. She went to Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea were a bit shaky last season, but they have lost Sam Kerr, who's their big goal scorer. They've brought in Melvin Mallard from Manchester United. Got a lot of Premier League experience, exciting talent, so that'll be a good one. And like I say, Katie McCabe as well. But I touched on Manchester United. It's not been good. I'm really, really, really concerned. I mean, they have brought in a goalkeeper and a 22-year-old defender. That's all they've got so far. One of the big issues last season when they were competing in the Champions League, they're not doing so in this season, was squad depth. They had a major issue with it, and we've seen Lisa Nelson leave, Millie Turner, Leah Galton, and Melvin Mallard. So at this moment in time, when I'm looking at Manchester United, you've got a world-class goalkeeper in Fallon Tullis-Joyce. You've got Maya Letizier, who's a great defender. You've got Ella Toom, Jess Park. And I think they're going to have to try and keep the fingers crossed. So really concerned about Manchester United. But the blue side of Manchester City, they will be looking to try and defend their title. They kept Bunny Shaw, the best goal scorer in the WSL. I'm sure that she will be winning a Ballon d'Or one day. I think that she's absolutely fantastic. Keeping her was important. Bringing Beth Mead in, a bit of experience. She'll get a good volume of assists, I believe. Obviously linking up with her partner Viviana Miedema at City. Yeah. I'm sure that will be nice for them on a personal level. So yeah, City overall would like to see a few defenders maybe come in. But basically, everyone's doing good business, apart from my team, Man United.
All right, so who do you think's won the transfer window then, if you had to pick
one? I mean, you've got to go with London City Lionesses because I know that Shabana Hearn was across this story early on and talking about Putellas. She was spotted at London City Lionesses. I know that Lucy Bronze has come out and spoken and said that Putellas' mum kind of gave her a bit of an indication that it could be happening, but nobody ever saw this. People may have seen it coming over the line, but a Barcelona winner, a 2-time Ballon d'Or winner, a World Cup winner, going to a club that doesn't have a men's team attached, if we're being completely honest, doesn't look like they'll be winning the WSL title within the next year. She's giving up Champions League football. It's absolutely huge. She must really believe in this project that Michelle Kang is building. So I think we've got to give it to them. It's huge.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk Premier League managers then. 9 sides have made a change in the dugout. It's been a bit of a managerial merry-go-round, hasn't it? Eddie Howe's incoming replacement at Newcastle, Matthias Gisler, will be manager number 9. On Weekend Sports Breakfast this morning, Tony Cascarino is expecting plenty more ins and outs throughout the season.
Now, out of that 8, you probably could say it's very likely that half of them will be gone by the end of the season.
Do you think?
Well, if you just look at the numbers game in managers, yeah, it's very likely that out of them 8 managers, 4 of them could be gone.
Anybody there intrigue you on that list?
Gary O'Neill going to Ipswich, been given an opportunity to come back into the Premier League football. Obviously, had his time at Wolves and Bournemouth, and just so he intrigues me how he's going to go. Alonso at Chelsea's a big one. Areola. I mean, there's loads of they're all incredible. I mean, Glasner's the strangest one to me because he left Crystal Palace to a team. Look, Nottingham Forest are incredibly ambitious. One thing you can say that they will spend money to get in new players and keep trying to improve their team. But it's the owners are. He's got a reputation. If it don't work out very quickly, you don't know how long you're going to last.
I mean, this is a stat that I'm reading here. Get this. Michael Carrick is the 8th longest serving manager in the Premier League, and he only arrived in January. That's where we're at with this at the minute. It feels mad to me that there's been so much churn and so much turnover. And just what Tony Cascarino was saying there. Oliver Glasner's a really interesting one for me because I think he's right. He was at Palace, a club who were, they'd just won the Europa Conference League. He'd won the Community Shield there. He'd won the FA Cup there. He's a legend at Crystal Palace, their greatest ever manager. And then he's decided to up sticks and go to Nottingham Forest, who, if you want to talk about stature of club, and all of that stuff, they're probably seen as a bigger club because of their history.
Of course.
But if you're talking about where the clubs are now, there's not too much distance between those two clubs.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was a surprising one for me. And obviously the way that he departed from Crystal Palace, and I'm intrigued to see how him and Marinakis are going to work together. That's going to be interesting. But I find it also interesting that Max Scott was obviously out with Nottingham Forest in Portugal doing pre-season, did a fantastic job, and they were all speaking about time and how you need time with this situation. And he's a good manager, so he may, earn their respect, and they might give him the time, and it all works out. But it makes you think clubs are maybe starting to try and be a little bit more patient because the volume of ingoings and outgoings at the moment, it is ridiculous. So maybe, new managers get a little bit of time to settle in. Are we going to see that? I think with Glasner, that seems to be the impression that they're giving off, but then you never know.
This is a horrible question. Who do you think could be the first club to sack their manager this season?
It's so hard, isn't it? Because it does depend on a couple of different factors, and it depends, I think, on how well the promoted teams do as well, because if they are all in the bottom 3 in November, maybe everyone will be patient. If Coventry and Ipswich are, in the top half or something, and one of the more established clubs are in the relegation zone, then I think owners are going to have to feel like they have to act. I'm interested with Arbeloa, I think, at Fulham.
Okay.
I think it's a tough job following Marco Silva. I understand that he's got this experience with Real Madrid, but there is a difference between Real Madrid and Fulham, and it got to a point where it was kind of like Vibes FC with Real Madrid. And I don't think, not that Fulham fans, I think, are going to be more demanding than Real Madrid fans, so to speak, but I don't think that's going to fly of just kind of being Vibes FC. He will have experience, but, he's still new to top-level coaching. I think it could be tricky for him.
Yeah, I think it will.
Who are you naming?
I think it will be Glasner.
Do you think?
Not because I don't think Glasner's a good manager, but because Marinakis.
If they have a little conflict, it could.
I feel like if you lose 3 games at Nottingham Forest, you're out. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of how it felt.
Standards are high, yeah.
I mean, I'm going for him.
Fair enough.
Just before we jump into the break, which manager do you think has the most pressure though this season?
Oh, it's so hard because it's all for different reasons, isn't it? I think Michael Carrick is going to have pressure. I think as
agree.
Manchester United manager, he's definitely up there. I think Maresca to an extent, but people will always fall back on he's having to replace Pep Guardiola, so give him a bit of a break.
I think Arteta's got pressure, I think.
I think he does have pressure, but it depends how the season goes. If you don't get back-to-back Premier League titles, but it's still been a wonderful campaign and you get to another Champions League final, for example, then, there's different ways that could work. I think that also Iraola, because
it's Liverpool.
It's Liverpool. The fans have high expectations. You can't fall back on, he's replacing Slot, because they weren't having Slot. So, I think the pressure's on for him.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. I agree. I think Iraola. Yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah,
I've nicked yours, but
have it.
yeah, I think it's a good shout.
Yeah.
Right, remember Fight Night with Gareth A. Davis follows us from 8 p.m. and over on talkSPORT 2, it's Commonwealth Games Live with Natalie Sawyer and Greg Rutherford. You are listening to the Transfer Insiders right here on talkSPORT.
Noticed that on social media, Curtis Jones liked the posts where Inter Milan announced Stones as a player.
He's acting like a spoiled brat. I saw his behaviour last night on the pitch.
This was after the friendly.
Yeah, I understand the frustration that you should have got the armband. He's been, he's a scouser. He's been there 20 years. Blah 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 blah. But to act like that and for it to carry on, because it went on for about 2 minutes.
Was it him and Dominic Szoboszlai?
Yeah, he was having a go at Szoboszlai, who handed the armband over, I think, to Tsimikas.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Curtis Jones had the temper tantrum over that. It's just like that behaviour can't happen. Not from a graduate from the academy. He's too into himself. So if he wants to go,
is the source of his frustration not so much the captain's armband in a pre-season friendly? It's the fact he wants to leave. Is it?
Yeah. Okay. So he wants to leave. Well, okay. Now Liverpool have to get the best deal for the football club. That's how it works. Okay. You don't get to throw your toys out of the pram and do it slowly, knowing him, and then act like that. I just don't understand it. You're playing for one of the biggest football clubs in the world. You came through the system. Behave. Stop. That's all eyes are on you. That's not behind closed doors. That might go on in training and all those things, but you don't want to see that going on actually for millions of people to watch.
And it's not great for Andoni Iraola, fresh in the manager.
No, and I'm sure he'll move past that. And I think Szoboszlai was asked in the press conference, and he didn't even talk about it. But it's just you hate seeing stuff like that. I really do. I think it's so petulant. Do you know what I mean? So, and then when you're liking Inter Milan's post, okay, we get it. You want to go to Inter Milan, probably last 5 minutes out there.
Oh, mate, another absolute tune. Some Led Zeppelin, a whole lot of love on. I mean, what a tune that is.
Yeah, amazing. I've also got some good news to you whilst we're listening to this song.
Go on.
Arsenal 2-0 up.
Oh, come on. Who scored?
Your new signing scored. Is it Solis?
Ah.
Have I said that right?
You
Apologies if I've said it incorrectly. Yeah, so maybe you don't need Vinny. Maybe you've got left wing sorted.
And I think Kai Havertz got the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, what a tune. The guys, Can I just give you a round of applause? Because this is our last tune, isn't it?
Yes.
You've absolutely smashed it with the tunes this evening. Right, let's get an update, though, from Glasgow with Georgie Heath. Georgie.
Yeah, you smashed it with the tunes, and it's just been smashed in the boxing. The final bout, Damar Thomas of England winning gold in the men's plus 90 kilograms to round off a very successful day for the home nations in action in the boxing ring. And now all eyes turn to the athletics. The women's long jump final is currently underway with England's Jasmine Sawyers sitting third. Lucy Hadaway and Molly Ruth Palmer, both English as well, are currently in action in that as well as the men's pole vault final. Owen Hurd in action there for England, and the men's 5,000 metre has just got underway. Lots of people running very fast for a very long distance, making me feel tired just watching, but plenty of action still to come tonight from the athletics.
Commonwealth Games update on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
Thank you very much, Georgie. Right, a consortium led by Amanda Staveley has reached an agreement to buy a 25.1% stake in West Ham after Vanessa Gold, daughter of the former chair David Gold, agreed to sell her family shares in the Championship club. Well, let's bring in talkSPORT's reporter, EFL expert and West Ham fan, Ian Abrahams. Evening, Moose.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I mean, the bigger question is, how are you? There's so much around West Ham at the moment. You know, there was a lot of toxicity last season and, you know, in the immediate aftermath after the team went down. But how are you feeling now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to feel at the moment because the bookmakers have us odds-on favourites to go back up, and we're favourites to win the league. Jarrod Bowen is the favourite with the bookies to be the Championship's top scorer. So, you know, everything should be absolutely fine. But West Ham haven't made any signings yet this summer. They've sold two big players in Matheus Fernandes for a massive fee to Spurs. And also Crescencio Somerville has gone as well, went to the Saudi League. There are other players who may or may not be staying. I think there are doubts over whether Aaron Wan-Bissaka will stay, whether Diouf will stay, whether Mavropanos will stay. I see that Freddie Potts is being linked with a £12 million move away from the club to the continent today as well. Currently, West Ham only have, well, really one striker in Castellanos. Whether or not they keep Fulkrug, who's back from a loan spell in Italy, which wasn't massively successful, remains to be seen. I'm not sure whether West Ham would want to keep him or whether he would want to stay, to be honest with you. Edson Alvarez, likewise, comes back from a loan spell last year. And again, what's happening with him at the club. And now we have, of course, news from the boardroom where it seems to be there was a degree of stability, and now there seems to be instability with Amanda Staveley's people wanting to take the 25% shares from the Gold family. Of course, Vanessa said that she would sell the club after David Sullivan stood down in June. It looked like Daniel Krasinski was going to take 16% of the shares, but it looks like Amanda Staveley wants to buy all 25%. And now does Krasinski have the opportunity to go back in and maybe do a deal, or will it be Staveley? And what will the other shareholders who have 10% of the club, what will they do? So there are a lot of questions to be answered.
I mean, with Krasinski, do you think that he wants to be considered the main man in the West Ham boardroom? Is Staveley maybe stepping on his toes?
He hasn't said before he wanted to be the main man, otherwise he would have made a bid to buy all 25%. I mean, he currently has, I think, 27% of the club, so 25% plus that would have taken him over 50% and been not only the majority shareholder in the club, but it didn't seem he wanted to do that, but he was putting together some plans for the club. But I mean, obviously now, if Amanda Staveley's consortium buys the 25%, David Sullivan says he will sell his 38%, but only when West Ham return to the Premier League. Let's say that is at the end of this season. It looks like he will probably sell to Amanda Staveley, and she would have over 50%, or her consortium would have over 50% of the club. So where would that then leave Krasinski after that? So as I say, there are so many questions to be answered about this, and it doesn't seem that this is perhaps the right time with a week of the season until the season starts in the League Cup, 2 weeks in the Championship, and at least on the field, I would say West Ham from what I saw when they played at Stevenage in a pre-season friendly a couple of weeks ago, they don't look particularly ready now. And since then, they played out a goalless draw at Rangers last weekend and a 1-1 draw this afternoon in Germany against Magdeburg.
Well, you say they don't look ready. I mean, they've not got long now to get ready, I guess. What is it, 15 days' time? Begin away at Burnley on the 16th of August, live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2. Is that, Moose, the hardest possible start back in the Championship at Turf Moor?
Yeah, I don't think it's easy. I mean, West Ham won their last season in the Premier League when they were trying to save themselves from relegation. But it won't be an easy start away to Burnley. I think you'd have wanted a home game and possibly a slightly easier home game to ease yourself back in to the Championship. Remember, it's 14 years since West Ham played at this level. But they are the favourites to go back up. They're going to have to try and justify that. But for me, I think the squad looks thin. As I say, attacking players, there really only is Castellanos, and I don't know what's going to happen with Fulkrug. I have little or no faith that Pablo will score enough goals for the club to get them promoted this season. I think most West Ham fans would probably agree with that statement from what I've seen so far. He's been at the club since last January and has failed to score a single goal and not actually often looked like he was going to score a goal, despite the fact he works hard. But, hard work doesn't produce goals. So, and there isn't depth either. There's not a whole lot of depth to the squad. I mean, Jarrod Bowen is the standout man. He's the talisman. He's the big part of the summer so far was keeping Jarrod Bowen. But, you have to say, what if, and he hasn't in 6 years, but what if Jarrod Bowen got injured? What if he wasn't available for one reason or another? There isn't somebody you could say, oh, well, he could step in straight away and take Jarrod Bowen's place. I think there's a whole host of players, either at Championship level or maybe just like, for example, a Danny Welbeck, getting on a little bit, maybe in terms of being a veteran from the Premier League that West Ham, I feel, could and should have at least tried to get. But, if you haven't even got somebody or consistency in the boardroom, how can they then answer what is needed by the manager Nuno Espirito Santo to go and strengthen the team? And as you've just said, it's 2 weeks till West Ham start live on talkSPORT to away to Burnley, and then it's, as you know, with everyone knows with the Championship, the games just come three times a week, and you haven't got time to breathe. And before we know where we are, it'll be the end of August, beginning of September. Transfer window will be shut, and then that's what you've got till Christmas time, which could be too late.
All right, Moose, thank you very much for your time. That is talkSPORT reporter and EFL expert Ian Moose Abrahams. Right, Angelina, that is it. We're done.
We're done.
Yeah, time time flies when you're having fun, they say.
Exactly.
Up to much tonight?
No, I've been doing early sports breakfast the last 2 days, 3 a.m. alarms,
Sleeping
so
then.
I'll probably be getting a little bit of a rest. You doing anything interesting?
No, I'm boring.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
You know what? Because we're bringing all of this energy to the radio show. We've got to have a bit of time to decompress, haven't we? Do you know what I mean?
I go back in the cryo chamber. That's what it is. Right, this has been the Transfer Insiders with me, Nick Bright, and Angelina Kelly. But do not go anywhere, because up next here on talkSPORT, it's Fight Night with Gareth A. Davis and Spencer Oliver.
I mean, I wake up every morning now feeling so lucky that Unai Emery's still there.
Yeah.
Because people laugh about these FSR, whatever they're called, financial